hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bad sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. Big shout out to Poohman3138. Thank you so much. Sleepy G 2011, also Passport King 77, R1H. Welcome all my people with wrenches. Shout out to all my members, Mr. 43TX. Always good to have everybody here. You guys come on in, come on in. We're gonna have ourselves a very hopefully lively conversation because let me just establish this from the get-go. There are surprisingly a lot of black people who have some strong opinions about what's going on right now in the world. I mean, we're watching as there have been major escalations in the Middle East. Basically, late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched a coordinated military strike on targets across Iran, or as they say, Iran, okay, and in a widening conflict that has already led to hundreds of deaths and retaliation through missile and drone attacks across the region. Now, airstrikes have hit Iran's military infrastructure, hits their leadership targets. While Iran has responded with missile launches against the U.S. bases and other allied states in the Gulf, they're taking some serious hits. And the situation has also begun affecting the global economy, oil markets, shipping routes, with energy prices jumping and fears spreading that the conflict could destabilize the entire region, as if it was stable before. The thing is, you have some of the fighting has already spilled beyond Iran's borders, and including some missile interceptions near NATO territory and naval clashes at sea. And this raises some concerns about whether the war could expand further. Because of this, you have people around the world, and especially here in America, are asking the same question: how big is this conflict going to get? And of course, in the black community, the reactions have been intense and divided. People are saying this is the beginning of World War III. And others are claiming the draft is coming back, and black Americans will be forced into another war that has nothing to do with us. People are invoking religion as prophecy. Armageddon. Right, end times. That's what they're saying. Others are support. Of course, you have people who support the United States. Their thing is, they laugh at you when they say, if you support the United States, you're supporting imperialism and war crimes. Okay, right? And then there's the opposite, who say that America has the strongest military and in the world, and that most of the fear being spread online is just speculation and panic. And I'm for the most part with that. But what you're seeing in the comments, okay, is that it's not just about debate about wars. It's a deeper argument about identity, loyalty, and survival, okay? And some people believe that black Americans should, I'm one of them, I believe we should emotionally, well, let me say it like this. You got people who believe that black Americans should emotionally attach ourselves to conflicts overseas simply because the other side is non-white. And then you have folks who believe that our focus should be on our own interests right here at home. And, you know, you got people shouting that America's collapsing, and while others are saying the country is still the most powerful military and economic force on the planet. So before we can, you know, even get into any deeper history in politics behind the conflict, we need to start by acknowledging the reality. People are scared, people are angry, and a lot of people are speaking from emotion rather than facts, and that's exactly why we're going to slow this down, and we're going to break this all the way down. Now, the first thing, you know, right now, okay, the internet is full of all these emotional arguments about Iran. You know, I've had some back and forth. You know, Iran, I've talked to people about slavery and, you know, Persians and Arabs and the current conflict, and a lot of people are speaking with confidence, but many of the claims being thrown around are either half true or completely wrong. So before people start singing this, you know, kumbaya with Iran, and when I say people, I'm talking about my people, okay? You know, you need to understand that, you know, Iran and the Middle East, they don't stand above history the same, you know, they don't have the same history, and it hadn't been affected the way, well, let me say it like this. First, it's true that Persians didn't invent slavery, but they were knee deep in it. And slavery existed for thousands of years before Persia ever became a major power. You can find it in slave systems, ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Rome, India, China. But the second part of what you need to understand is that people keep trying to skip the fact that Persia did participate in slavery. When I said slavery, I'm talking about black people being enslaved. Okay, I'm talking about black bodies enslaved hundreds of years. Okay, Africans were brought into Iran through the Indian Ocean slave trade, especially during the Safavid period. And many of those enslaved Africans worked in homes and agriculture. They did pearl diving. They were in the royal courts in southern Iran near the Persian Gulf. And slavery in Iran was not even officially abolished until 1929. Okay? So the honest position is simple. For me, Persia did not start slavery, but it absolutely participated in the African slave trade system, just like many other civilizations. And see, here's another major confusion is in the comments section consists on whether mixing up Persians and Arabs. Look, Iran is not an Arab country, okay? However, okay, well, let me say it like this. These are two different ethnic groups with two different histories and cultures. But correcting that fact doesn't erase the broader history of slavery in the region. Arab traders were deeply involved in the trans-Saharan slave trade, and you know the Red Sea slave trade, and the Indian Ocean slave trade, and they moved millions of Africans over many centuries. Some people say Arabs were the first colonizer in Africa, and I've told you guys that's my opinion. But here's the thing. You know, they also practice some anti-black racism, okay? And another thing, when you start bringing this up, the first thing people start doing is saying, well, in 1979 in the Iran hostage crisis, you know, they had black hostages and they let the black people go. First of all, they shouldn't have had they shouldn't have had hostages in the first place, okay? All right, but in that regard, yes, that's true. They did let some black American hostages go, as opposed to holding, and they held the rest for over 400 years. But what we leave out is that this is, you know, widely understood as a political movement. I'm gonna dig into that a little deeper. You know, the Cold War was at its height. It was strategy. It's not a declaration that racism didn't exist in Iran. And so today, you know, you even have Afro-Iranians in this region, you know, who will say that. But here's the thing, family. you know, this is very complex. It's very, it's a sordid history, but it's no time for Black Americans to think it's time to have a kumbaya moment. We are resting. And I don't care if it's the Mexicans, I don't care if it's the Asians, I don't even care if it's the Africans from Africa or the Caribbeans. We are still resting. And I want to be absolutely certain that you all understand that this is my position. We are resting and we're going to continue to rest. Now, I want to dig a little deeper before we get too deep into this broadcast. You know, the real problem a lot of Black people have right now is that we refuse to see folk for who they are. In this particular case, we're talking about Iran for what it is. It's a society that took part in enslaving Black people and still carries anti-Black attitudes in its culture. And the reason some of you can't look at that reality clearly is because deep down in your little heart, you want to be liked. And I'm talking to all the Black people. I want you to listen to me. The idea that people don't like you because of the color of your skin hurts you to the core of your little chocolate-nated hearts. I know you. I know it does. Okay? You want people to like you and laugh with you and accept you and love you, and that's okay. That's the desire of a human being. And psychologists have said for decades that human beings have a strong need to be liked and accepted. The need to belong has a basic human motivation. But that doesn't mean that seeking approval is the right strategy when you're dealing with nations. Power and history are important. And when it comes to the real world, especially the global stage, there's a difference between being liked and being respected. People judge others on two basic things: warmth and competence. Warmth means being liked. Competence means being respected. And the two are not the same. And if what you want in life is unconditional love, then you need to buy a dog. And not just any dog. You need to get you a big dog. You need a big dog, okay? Right? Not a little tiny dog that can't defend itself. You don't need a pit bull. You don't need a Rottweiler. You don't need a cane corso. Get your little Chihuahua, a little teeny dog that needs you. Okay? I'm talking to you Black folk. This is, you want somebody to love on you. That's the dog that'll love you unconditionally because they need you, not because they really care. They don't care about you either. Okay? But they need you to put some dog food in their little tray every day and rub their little bellies and defend them from predators. That's the type of love you all are looking for, Black folk. Okay, but when it comes to dealing with nations and cultures and power politics, the currency is not love, it is respect. And when respect is unavailable, fear of consequences is sufficient. What will never work for Black people is running around the world begging people to like you. Okay? That's never succeeded in human history. Groups of people that chase approval instead of status usually end up at the bottom of the hierarchy, which is where we as Black people are right now. And other people enjoy the things that Black people produce. They like our music, they like our style, they like our culture, but that doesn't mean they respect us as a people. And there's a difference between prestige and popularity. Popularity means people like you. Prestige means people respect you. Prestige brings influence. Popularity brings applause. You see? And you all want people to clap for you, don't you? That's what you want. You want to hear people say, bravo, nigga. That's what you want to hear, right? You're an amazing nigga. That's what you want. That's what you really want to hear. And the idea that someone doesn't like you because of your Black skin, it hurts your little funky feelings. Poor little you. Ooh. Look at the facts. I mean, what else do you want? There are billions of people on this planet, and most cultures are barely known outside their own borders. And yet this small, tiny population of foundational Black Americans has produced a culture the entire world recognizes: music, language, fashion, sports, entertainment, style. I mean, that's global cultural production and recognition, whether people want to admit it or not. But admiration for your culture is not the same thing as respect for your humanity. People can dance to black music and still look down on black people at the same time. That's the difference between status and approval. And this is the difference between me and most of you sucker for love ass N-words. I don't need to be liked. Matter of fact, I don't want to be liked. Matter of fact, the people that have been here will tell you I go out of my way to be the bad guy. There are people on YouTube right now that won't say my name because I have sued people, because I have called people's probation officers and had their probation revoked as a favor to me. I've had people's channels canceled for saying the wrong thing. This is who I am. I am the bad guy. Matter of fact, I used to tell the fellas who follow my page, embrace being the bad guy. That is my preference. You see? And that is why many of you don't like me. You don't. But see, here's the thing. Being the bad guy, at least, that way I know exactly where I stand with you. And you know exactly where you stand with me, and we can proceed accordingly. Unfortunately, that mindset is rare in black people, and it is even more rare in black men. And that's why many of you react negatively to what I'm saying right now. I've had people tell me, oh, you need to stick to being a lawyer. Well, don't you know most of the presidents that were effective were lawyers? Don't you know that? This is what we do. We argue the case. You see, that if I was a white boy sitting up here, y'all would be like, yeah, that's right. Attorney John Dextenoffer said it. As long as I was white. But because I'm black, you all try not to respect me. But that's why I do what I do to you all. Because, see, another thing that I've told people, when respect is unavailable, fear is sufficient. You understand? And this is how I operate. But see, here's what I want to share with y'all, okay? The reason you all react negatively to what I'm saying, and I'm not talking about everybody, because some of y'all feel the same way I do. But seeing a black man sit up here and talk about this and say, hell with them people, I don't care how many of them folk get unalived. That ain't my problem. It goes directly against your survival mentality that grew out of slavery. That slave in you, I'm talking to the black folks, listen, that slave, that old Negro slave in you wants to be liked so he doesn't get beaten. That slave wants to be liked so he can receive better treatment or get him a butter biscuit. But see, I'm not a slave. I'm a free man, and I'm on this platform, and I preach a freedom doctrine here. And that begins with a simple truth. We are free Americans whose ancestors fought for that freedom, and I'm willing to fight and kill and to die to maintain that freedom for myself and my progeny. And so because of that, okay, I tell you, I vote my interests and you should vote your interests, whatever that may be. And I also tell you to protect your interests and put yourself first. Somebody type number 1 in the chat room. That is why we type number 1 in the chat room. You understand? It's not about approval or emotional comfort. None of that. Now that I've said that, let me simmer down. Somebody type simmer down, Uncle D. Simmer down. No, you know what else? Look. The funny thing is that they expect black Americans to automatically support these Muslim causes because they are people of color. But they avoid the honest conversations about the realities that exist in these Muslim companies. I have spent months and months explaining to you all how the Muslims were heavily involved in the slave trade. And what you need to understand is slavery has not completely disappeared in parts of these Muslim worlds. You can go to Mauritania right now, okay? They still have hereditary slavery. It's been documented modern times. You got black people from Africa being trafficked all throughout the Arab Gulf countries. These are real issues that black folk are dealing with. Nobody wants to address it. When we start talking about people of color and solidarity, they don't want to talk about that. And then again, there's also the anti-black racism. Black Muslims and black Africans have spoken about discrimination they experience in Arab and North African countries that can't be brushed aside. And when black Americans bring it up, it's not about upholding white supremacy. It's about pointing out the contradictions. You want us to support these people in Iran, but they got anti-black racism over there. You got people living in shanty towns in southern Iran. Those of us who bothered to kind of understand a little bit can say that. But those of you guys who do that knee-jerk reaction, oh, these are people of color, and oh, you know, I'm going to support them. You don't. You can't demand automatic support while dismissing and minimizing anti-blackness in the very communities you that you want us to support. At the end of the day, it's not the job of black Americans to take on every global political religious cause simply because it's framed as the oppressed versus the oppressors. Black Americans have our own historical ongoing struggles rooted in slavery and segregation and economic inequality and systematic discrimination right here in the United States. Expecting us to prioritize outside causes that don't directly benefit our community while ignoring harms that affect the black people globally, that's one-sided. Solidarity should be mutual. It should include accountability. It should include honest conversations about anti-blackness wherever it exists, whether you're getting bombed right now or not. We want to talk about your racism. And that includes the Muslim communities, whether they're Persian or whatever. Shout out to David Johnson, asshole. Thank you so much. You black folks need to reserve your resources and your attention for the black community. You see? That's what I'm telling you to do. There are a lot of black people who say, but if we focus primarily on ourselves, does that mean we stop caring about anyone else? Or more specifically, how do we decide who deserves our sympathy? They say that. They say we only reserve our sympathy and empathy and support for people who didn't participate in slavery. Who we gonna support? They bring all that up. You see? They start talking about how black people, these are black people saying this so they can run out and support these Iranians. This is what they say. They say, well, we had black overseers and black slave owners. And, Africans did act as intermediaries in the slave trade. They start building, what they're doing is they're building a moral framework based solely on historical entanglements like that. Okay? That's what they're doing. What they're really saying is how many generations removed does a people have to be before we as black people can recognize their humanity? And, basically, what point do we acknowledge, when do we stop acknowledging the people who treated us badly? At what point? You see? And see, my opinion is that we stop worrying about it when the debt is paid. You see? That's when we stop acknowledging when the debt is paid. See, look, man, why should we care about anybody anyway? Okay? Why? Well, why should we? We were taught that our highest purpose was simply to be a good nigga slave. And excuse my language, but I really have some issues with some of the people that I've seen and some of the comments. We just supposed to be endlessly compassionate, endlessly forgiving, endlessly understanding. Somebody shoots your relative, you supposed to forgive them, especially if they white, especially if they're a white police officer. You just supposed to forgive them and put it up to the Lord. No matter how bad you're treated, you're just supposed to forgive them. Did I tell y'all that slavery just ended in Iran in 1929? Did I tell y'all that? I mean, they think the only role we supposed to play is a good boy and good gal. Look, man, being a decent human being doesn't mean being naive. It doesn't mean abandoning your own people, and it certainly doesn't mean sacrificing your own group survival on the altar of somebody else's comfort. Take care of yours. Do for self. That's the foundation of every functioning community on earth. You don't have to be sentimental about it. You don't have to be lovey-dovey with every black person you see, including members of your own damn family. But there must be a baseline level of respect and protection and loyalty within the society if that society expects to survive. And because the logic some people push doesn't hold up even under scrutiny, you know, I mean, think about it, you know, that reasoning is crazy. It's absurd. Every group on this planet has a complicated history. Every group has harmed people, including members of our own group. Y'all love black people so much. What about Chicago? Yeah, every group has done that to each other. It's not good, but the bottom line, society is messy, history is messy, it's violent, it's contradictory. But no serious society allows those contradictions to erase the need for collective organization and survival. A people can't survive in isolation. No group survives by pretending it has no shared identity and no shared interest and no obligation to protect itself. That's how history works. You survive as a group by recognizing that your fate is tied together. You survive by understanding that your collective future matters more than the individual imperfections of your past. And let me tell you this plainly. No people on earth have ever survived by standing alone or disconnected from one another. Not one. And that said, the real question is, how long, how long are we going to not see that? I mean, why can't I look at this situation going on in Iran? These are consequences of their history. This is karma. Them getting bombed like that. I'm not shedding any tears for any anti-black societies. I'm not shedding any tears for any societies that openly enslaved black people up to 1929. I'm not doing that. I'm not shedding tears for people who would sell me or my ancestors to the highest bidder or take my life simply because I look different. And you would be a fool to think you should do it. Now, that being the case, let's talk about how we got here. Okay? Are y'all still with me? Hit the number 1 button if you're still with me. Hit the number 1 button if you're still with me. We came in smoking hot. Hit the number 1 button if you're still with me. Now, I'm going to take you guys back to 1979. Well, before that, I want you guys to look at a few videos that I have pulled because I want you guys to see for yourself. And if you learn something, I should earn something. Please, if you have not already, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. We are marching towards 100,000. We are only 5,000. We're less than 5,000 people away. So if you would please take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, I certainly would appreciate that. If you learn something here and you don't have any money, that's okay, honey. Just subscribe to the channel and it'll be all good. Now, I want you guys to kind of look at some of the things. I got a couple of photographs I'm going to share with you guys. And
slavery in Iran. The African slave trade in the Persian Gulf began well before the Islamic period. Medieval accounts refer.
The African slave trade began well before the Islamic period. In other words, all you people trying to distinguish between Arabs and Persians, they all had black slaves. Okay, so that's the first one. All right, let's keep it pushing. You guys keep on hanging in there.
Gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, now
you got folk that always want to throw our situation, and that's where Whoopi Goldberg is about to go. We're gonna push on past that. Yeah, you know, these are not nice people, so to speak. Now here's something else I want to share with you. Check this out. Now, did you all know that Iranians consider themselves white? These people of color, they people of color now, but they consider themselves white. Okay?
Until Arabs did bad things to them.
And they blame the Arabs. They said the Arabs what came over there and darkened them up. Okay? These Iranians, matter of fact, the word Iran, okay, Iran's basically stands for home of the Aryans.
I just saw this trending post on X. And all I can say is that it is rather embarrassing when you're trying to be bigoted but lack even the simplest understanding of this region. The photo you displayed is a reconstruction of a man from the Sintashta culture. They might have spoken the Proto-Indo-Iranian language, which is the early language that later broke off into various Iranian languages, as well as the Indo-Aryan languages of South Asia. These people, who some call the Aryans, migrated into the Iranian plateau and mixed with the pre-existing populations of Iran. So what did the pre-existing people look like? Well, based on remains.
See, this is what they deny. This is what they really look like, but in their minds, they're white, okay? Somebody said the audio, okay, let me fix the audio. When I play it, I got to push mute. So I'm going to let it play. I'm just trying to let the videos play. We'll let it finish.
Genetic data is a reconstruction. Modern Iranians are essentially a mix between these two populations, as well as some other groups, well before the Islamic conquests.
Okay, so again, these folk think they're white. Okay, these are the people, the Iranians, in their mind, they are white, and they had slavery. And so, you know, it's the same mix. It is the same mix that we as a foundation of black Americans, that we as black Americans are very familiar with. Now, I'm gonna let another video play. Let me make sure I can get this in here, because I wanna make sure y'all hear what all the Iranian people have to say about their country and what they have going on, and you know what life is like over there. And I actually have some Afro-Iranians that'll talk to you guys. Y'all hit the #1 button when you hear it clearly.
It's pissing me off. Unknown what? What unknowns? Black people are not unknowns to the Iranian community. Afro-Iranians have lived in the southern regions of Iran for centuries, and we have a direct translation for the N-word in Farsi. This is not unknown. This is not new to us.
We have a direct translation of the N-word. So all you people over there who are hooting and hollering about Iran, America should have done that, they have a direct translation for the N-word. Okay? Oh, we don't have to use the N-word. We got our own word for them. We got our own word for them over here. And you all are crying and hooting. Wait a minute. You should have saw my comment saying, imperialism. Since when have white folk ever had a problem with white supremacists fighting with each other? It's a former slave. I'm just asking questions. I just want to know. I want to know. I'm just here to ask questions. Let her finish talking.
Anti-Blackness and racism has existed within our community for a really long time. And the fact that you're so persistent to label it as something else is a problem within itself. And no, racism is not a freaking response to the unknown. It's a systematic issue. She was 100% aware that her lighter skin compared to those two black women was giving her an advantage. And the fact that she called the police and lied about two black women beating her up shows that she knows the system and she's weaponized.
Now she's talking about an Iranian Karen that called the police on some black people. Now all the black people that was on my YouTube community section. Where y'all at? I want y'all to come in here and tell me, tell everybody here in the chat room how much you support the Iranians. Go ahead. Let's go ahead. I want you to finish.
Nothing in this situation was unknown to her. She is racist. A lot of people in our community are racist. And the fact that you would admit that makes me think you're probably also racist.
So the Iranian woman is saying that her own people are racist. So this is not. So that's what you're telling me. So all you black people out here who are insisting that Iranians are racist, this is what the Iranian people are saying about themselves. Who should I believe? Should I believe the Iranians or should I believe you? Because you don't even have a passport. Let's keep listening.
Indeed believe that they are white, and my answer to you is that yes, a large portion of the diaspora is genuinely convinced that they are the true Aryans, meaning that their ancestors migrated from the Caucasus, that the only reason they're
All right, now you guys are saying the echo is real bad. Is the echo real bad? Let me see if I can fix this echo real quick. Okay, I'm gonna try to fix this echo. I'm gonna let it play. You let me know if this fixed the echo. Okay.
why do Iranian people think that they are white, and do they indeed believe that they are white? And my answer to you is that yes, a large portion of the diaspora is genuinely convinced that they are the true Aryans, meaning that their ancestors migrated from the Caucasus, that the only reason they're
All right, now I know you see the top of this lady's head, but she's telling you that the Iranians say that they're white. Okay, these are white. This is what they're saying. Does somebody said the sound? Is the sound off? Y'all got to make up y'all mind. I'm in here stressing me out.
They're brown is because of all of the invasions we've had over the past couple of thousands of years. Now, you may be thinking this is absolutely delusional, which it is, and it's rooted in racism and white supremacy, which I will get into in a little bit. The reason why many Iranians think this way is that during the Shah's reign, so
somebody typed the Shah, during the Shah's reign, the reason this Iranian woman is going to explain to you why Iranians practice white supremacy and why they think they're white. Okay, this is what she's gonna say. Okay, I want y'all, not me saying it. I already knew, but some of you all didn't know. Okay,
Pahlavi's reign, he put it in the K through 12 curriculum that Iranians are really the true white people. They're truly white. We're the true Aryans.
Iranians are true white people. This is what the Iranians are saying about themselves. They're the true white people. Praise Moses. Look at ain't the truth something.
Right. And so a lot of the elder Iranians grew up with this idea, being fully convinced that they are the true Aryans, therefore passing it on to their children. Now, why did he do this? It was actually because he was trying to normalize Western relations with America. And if you want to read more about this, there's a book.
He was trying to normalize Western relations with America. He was trying to get in with the other white folk. Hey, we're the real white people. You know, we are the Aryans, man. We are the Aryans. We are the real Aryans. We are them. Okay, we are them. You could come and be with us. We are them. Let us in. That's what he said. This is the words that they're saying.
Called the limit.
Remember, they have their own word. They have their own N-word in Farsi. They have their own word for you ends. Okay, that's what these people are telling you about their own. They snitching on themselves. Y'all should listen.
Limits of Whiteness. It's written by an Iranian sociologist, and her book really breaks this down and why it's so problematic and why Iranians adhere to this. But a lot of the time you'll hear Iranians say, well, America's not going to go that hard on us because we're the true Aryans.
America's not going to go that hard on us because we're white like them. We're white. They identify with white. They trying to get a white card. And all you black people, you just silly selves, you sucker for love. Black people want somebody to like you. Say, well, that's jacked up what they going to there. They don't like you. They don't even like you. You over there crying all weekend. I can't believe Donald Trump did that. They don't even like you.
We're not Arab. We're Persian.
That's what they say.
Okay, to the average American, you're an Arab, but whatever. You think that the average hillbilly is going to know the difference between Iraqi and Iranian. Okay. Another part of this is that whenever they try to insult other people is they'll say, oh, you're not really Iranian. You're Afghan, you're Arab, your ancestors are Arab. They do that shit to me all the time because for an Iranian, I am of darker skin. Now, I know to a lot of you that may shock you and say, well,
we see the top of your forehead. You don't look dark to me, but go ahead.
You don't look dark skinned, which I'm not. I'm not saying I'm dark skinned. I'm saying on the scale of being Iranian, I am much more tan and much more brown than the average Iranian. And so a lot of the times they'll come into my comments and they'll be like, you're really Pakistani, you're really Arab, you're not Persian.
So they basically have colorism and racism. That's what she's saying. The young lady is saying that the same people that y'all been crying for all over the weekend are both colorist and racist. Well, what did let's see what these black people say.
On this deep dive trying to learn more about minorities in Iran. And
minorities, they don't even see themselves as a POC. Isn't this amazing to you all? Let's listen to what another Iranian person has to say about Afro-Iranians.
I recently found out about Afro-Iranians. So Afro-Iranians are Black Iranians primarily living in the southern region of Iran, so like Bandar Abbas. And they were brought to Iran throughout the 17th through 19th century.
How did they get there? Ma'am?
Because of the slave trade. And
they were slaves. Oh, you had black slaves. Oh, I presume from Africa. So you colorist, you're racist, you think you white, and you had black slaves. Amazing. Are these the people we supposed to cry about? Huh? I'm sorry. Y'all been crying about these people all week. Y'all look. I'm saying y'all don't read books before y'all start saying we need to get Red Cross. Y'all know this. These people don't even like you.
Culture is so rich and so interesting. I was doing deep dives and learning about some people because I found out about this collective called the Collective for Black Iranians. They have a ton of different stories depicting.
Oh, look at them. They got their own N-words over there. Y'all didn't know none of this, huh? Oh, okay.
The lives of people who consider themselves to be Afro-Iranian. They're really just trying to preserve their culture and tell their stories from a minority group that most Iranians, and especially not Westerners, have ever heard about.
Oh, maybe it's because the government purposely tries to hide them because they don't want the rest of the world to know about their slavery past because they want to seem as though they're against the oppressors, but how can they be against the oppressors if they themselves are oppressors? Oh my God. Let's keep listening. Learning so much.
It's really interesting that they're spreading awareness about their culture and showcasing that Blackness comes in all different forms, especially in the Middle East. So check out the Collective for Black Iranians if you want to learn more.
Thank you so much. I'm learning so much right now. I'm sure my audience is learning a lot too. Well, let's look at one of these mysterious Black Iranians. I wonder what they look like. Maybe they have like horns growing out of their forehead or something like that. Let's take a look at this one.
These people are Persian?
I absolutely did not. They look like N-words to me. Where are all the Black people that said that Iranians aren't Persians? Where y'all at? These are Persians.
Yes. Yara Shahidi isn't the first.
Yara Shahidi, she looked like Keisha Thomas. She looked like Keisha Thomas that went to Martin Luther King High School on Martin Luther King Boulevard. That's who she looked like. She looked like Keisha.
First Black Persian. Everyone knows about the transatlantic slave trade, but people gloss over the Indian Ocean slave trade. At a certain point, many Arab...
The reason they know about the transatlantic slave trade is because Black Americans are loud. That's why. That's why they know about it, because we're loud and we won't let anybody forget it. That's why they know about it, okay? But the other people quiet, okay? They don't talk as much as you all talk, okay? Clearly, you would never find another Black lawyer talking as much as I do on the internet, especially talking as much stuff as I talk on the internet. You won't do it because I'm a Black American, okay? And this is how I was raised. Be loud. My middle name is Damon because every Black child has a name that travels up the street. Damon, bring your Black ass back. And your mama said, come home. Damon, that's a loud middle name, okay? Jamal, come on, let's name the rest of the loud black people kid names. That's my family only calls me Demond. My official name is Dennis Spurling. It looks good on a resume. You understand what I'm saying? But my middle name is Ghetto, is hood as the front of a car. Demond, and I've had people call Aman, Laman, all them different names. Okay, we loud people. That's why they know about us. Okay, but I'm gonna let Craig. That's another one. Let's finish. Let's finish. Deshaun. I'm gonna let these people finish. Y'all done got me upset.
Arab traders began trafficking non-Muslim East Africans of mostly Bantu origin around the Middle East, a part of which ended up in Iran. To be clear, not all Afro-Iranians descend from them, as some were free-willed immigrants, and some were Africans that escaped Portuguese slave traders.
Shout out to David Johns. Thank you for being the second person to contribute to the super chat. I appreciate your family. Good looking out for you.
And went into Iran. These people are called Zanj in Iran, denoting their origin from the region of Zanzibar. In the 19th century, Turkic Shah of Iran from the Qajar dynasty issued a mandate prohibiting the slave trade. Afro-Iranians mostly live in the southern parts of Iran and have had representatives among...
He looked like somebody's uncle. He looked like somebody's uncle. You know you got an uncle with a nose like that. That looked like my nose. Damn, look at that. Look, if I pull it down a little bit, that looks just like my nose. Look at that. Yeah, that's us.
Amongst Iran's religious Shia Muslim elites, as well as some of Iran's most famous footballers. Just like in Turkey, most have mixed into the mainstream Iranian population, but a few thousand of them have preserved mostly African ancestry, although all have at least some local Iranian admixture.
Okay, well, we learning some. Are y'all learning something? Let's continue. I hope you're learning something. So you got all these black people over there. You got anti-black racism over there. You got former slavery over there. You got all that going on. Okay. All right, let's keep on listening to what the people had to say. I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to hear what the people have to say. Let's check. What about this? Hit the number one button.
I'm Faida, and today we're going to be talking about the African diaspora in Iran.
Fair use, fair use, fair use. Saida, go ahead, baby. What you got to say?
Freedom.
No, we ain't gonna do all that. We ain't gonna do all that. Go ahead.
And speak the local languages of the regions they live in, such as Baluchi.
Oh no. He looked like the running back for my little boys' 10-year-old football team. He looked just like him.
And Bandari.
One of the earliest records of an African presence in Iran dates back to the 17th century, when enslaved Africans helped the Portuguese during an Anglo-Persian attack at Hormuz.
Enslaved Africans were trafficked from East Africa to southwestern Iran to work on sugarcane plantations. They
was working on what? Sugarcane plantation. They was chopping cane? Well, my people from North Carolina and South Carolina, they was chopping cane. Shout out to ADA. You mean you had them N-words out there chopping cane? That sound a lot like the American Southeast to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay, let's keep going.
Enslaved African boys were castrated, often.
You hear that? Castrated. That's why they don't have a lot of them over there, because they,
dying from blood loss or infection. The men were also employed as laborers, farmhands, woodcutters, stone breakers, bodyguards, and soldiers. The women were deployed as nannies and concubines, whose children became...
You know what concubine means? Sex slaves. That's what they were. That's the fancy word for sex slave. That's what they did to the black women. Sounds like they were doing the same thing in Iran that black people in America were having to deal with over here. They chopping cane, they working for free, bad things are happening to them sexually. That's what it sounds like to me. While you guys got your big heart out for Iran, that's what it sounds like to me. You need to have sympathy for these people. Let's keep it pushing.
Members of the slave owner's family. Some rose into positions of power as governors or bodyguards to the highest members of Persian society.
Slavery in Iran was not isolated to Africans alone, with Georgians, Circassians, and even Persians themselves forming the Iranian slave labor force. Following the victory of the Russian military in 1826, Iran lost access to its supply of Georgian and Circassian slaves, increasing the demand for enslaved.
Well, you can't get these white slaves no more. You can keep on getting those N-word slaves. That's basically what it sounds like. because Russia said, no, we're going to have a revolution. You ain't going to put no more white people down there.
Persians and Africans, and increasing the African presence in Iran.
Slavery was only formally abolished in Iran in 1929, and Afro-descendant communities formed their own settlements along the Gulf Coast, where they continued to celebrate their African heritage through music.
They continue to celebrate their African heritage right now. Man. So they black. And you all, and they form, man, let's keep going.
Music, dance, and oral history. One of the legacies of African culture in southern Iran is the belief in spirits, such as the czars, malignant spirits or winds that possess people and must be appeased.
So they have those traditional African spiritual beliefs. Oh, we need to get some of them people from Haiti and Jamaica over there, and some of them people from Louisiana, and send them over there. Y'all can have y'all little African gods talk to each other. Get some drums playing. Shout out to Philip Panderson. Appreciate you. Let's keep it pushing.
In Iran, certain spirits are referred to as Pepe or Mature, derived from the Swahili people and Matari.
Part of the reason so many people are unaware of the Afro-Iranian community
and that music got me
surrounding the subject of slavery. The legacy of slavery is at best ignored in Iranian society and at worst negated entirely.
Many Afro-Iranians themselves are unaware of the full extent of their African origins, believing that their dark complexion is due to the hot climate on the southern coast. Afro-Iranians are often referred to as the blacks of the south. At the beginning of Nowruz, Persian New Year, it is traditional to see people dress as the Iranian folkloric character Haji Firuz. He is usually depicted as being clothed in red, and his face is completely black.
Somebody type blackface in the chat room. Blackface. They got blackface over there. Okay? So not only do they have slaves, and they think they're white, they're also anti-black, and they got blackface. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind. And y'all ain't heard about them because they keep them oppressed. They don't let them be on TV. You understand? Again, you black Americans are loud, and that's why everybody knows about you all. Okay? You're loud. Okay? The rest of these people quiet. Let's keep listening.
Reasons for his black skin vary. Some say he is of enslaved African descent. Others say his face is covered in soot. He is a comical character, known for singing songs and entertaining people. Although not necessarily an outright caricature of a black person, Haji Firuz is a controversial figure among those who take umbrage at the symbolic racism of dressing in blackface.
We take umbrage in the symbolic racism in dressing in blackface. So you telling me the black people over in Iran recognize this blackface thing is racist? Also, shout out to Penelope. That's what you're telling me? So they dealing with the same stuff over there that we dealing with over here. So their government that's being bombed to smithereens right now is racist as hell. That's according to these black. I'm just saying, this is what it sounds like to me. That all you black Americans who are whining and crying about right now, all y'all on the internet, Iran is oppressed. They're people of color. They're oppressing the black people. I'm just asking questions. I'm here to ask questions. You all are entitled to whatever opinion you want. But this is what they're saying. It's not me saying it. This is them saying it about themselves. Okay? All right, let's keep it listening. Let's keep listening.
Some Afro-Iranian communities have been integrated for generations and intermarried with Iranians from other ethnic groups. Other communities are more separate, such as the Afro-Iranian community in Sistan Baluchistan, who live by a strict caste system, forbidding intermarriage between certain castes.
Living in some of the poorest provinces in Iran, many Afro-Iranians do not have access to the same opportunities as their counterparts from other ethnic groups.
They are the visible.
They live in poverty and they don't have access to the same group. This young man here, Mr. For Your Sister, if they're so anti-black, why did they let the black hostages free first? Feel free to answer. Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to answer your question, but I want you to look at these videos. All of you all who think that, there's no anti-black racism in Iran. Just let's keep listening to the black people who live there tell you what, because I'm going to believe them. I know you black Americans. I know y'all are like, they're not racist because you want to see this country is racist. That's what it is. And it is. It's very racist, but you don't want to recognize the fact that They racist too, because you want to be loved. You see what I'm saying? Now, this young man has sat up here and watched for the last hour me show these people telling you what their lived experience, these black people in Iran telling you what their lived experiences are like, and you still ask me the question of, if they so anti-black, why did they free the black hostages first? That is too easy for me to respond. It's so easy. It's just too easy. I'm gonna let somebody else answer that question. Why this racist government freed the black people? Okay, I'm gonna let you work on that for yourself.
Legacy of Iran's participation in the Indian Ocean slave trade.
Freedom. Okay, I don't. That must be like the old Negro spiritual right there. That's an old Iranian Negro spiritual. But let's go ahead and continue. I still have more videos to put up because you know this is what I do. I'll let you go ahead. Let's see what else we got. What is this, sir? What is this? Let me see. Oh, this is the...
His character represents one aspect of Iran's long history of slavery. Haji Firuz, in fact, most likely has roots in the Afro-Iranian community in southern Iran. Haji Firuz's singing and dancing also has roots in what is known as Gawati, the Afro-Iranian belief that dancing has healing properties. Bandari music and southern Iranian dancing, both extremely popular throughout Iran, especially during Nowruz, also have their roots in Gawati. Despite the popularity of Bandari music, the depiction of Afro-Iranians in popular media is barely visible.
The picture of Afro-Iranians in popular media is barely visible. Why are they trying to keep hidden? That's why they don't want nobody.
The most famous portrayal of an Afro-Iranian is Bahram Beyzai's 1989 film Bashu the Little Stranger. The film follows the story of a boy who is orphaned by the Iran-Iraq War and escapes war-torn Khuzestan for safety. The neglect of Afro-Iranians by most Iranians stems from a number of factors.
The neglect by Afro-Iranians by most Iranians stems from a number of facts. Oh, let's listen. I wonder what they could be.
Most of which stem from the Aryan myth. The Aryan myth effectively whitewashed Iran's history.
The Aryan myth, in other words, we're white. We are white and they are black. Okay, I don't know what the equivalent of a redneck is in Iranian language, but that's what they're basically saying. We're white and they're black and we're better than them because we are Aryans, the real ones. That's basically what they're saying. Okay, let's keep listening.
Leading many to believe that true Iranians are only light-skinned and that Iran never engaged in slavery. Beyond this, the lack of Afro-Iranian presence...
They got a whole history of it. They said, we never engaged. That's denial. They are standing in denial. I know the denial is in Egypt, but that's where they're standing.
In media further reinforces any preconceived notions that exists about Africans in Iran, that they simply do not exist.
And they do.
Regardless of the reasons for the neglect, it is important to acknowledge the presence and history of the Afro-Iranian communities, not only for their sake, but with the intention of better confronting racist narratives, like the Aryan myth.
Well, they're racist. They go out of there, they make up stuff to be racist. Shout out to Big J 773.
That excludes so much.
Look, again, I'm just letting you see the videos for yourself. I advocate black people resting. I advocate y'all minding y'all black business. I'm just giving you a reason to continue minding your black business. In case you wanted to shed a tear for these folk, at least you know here. You can still go tear up if you want to. Go cry a river if you want to. Go ahead and cry if you want to. Okay, but let's understand who these people are based on their history and what the black people over there have to say, okay, about what their experience is before you black people in America shed all your tears. Let's hear what the black people over there have to say about their experience and what they're dealing with.
Of Iran's population. After all, the tradition of Nowruz has survived all this time thanks to Iran's assorted ethnicities and cultures. As we all gather to celebrate the Persian...
Look at them over there in blackface. I mean, this is how they celebrate with blackface. I mean, that's, you see it right there, right? You see the side of the
New Year and the much needed...
That's how they bring New Year in. They bring the New Year in blackface, celebrating, I guess, one of their slaves, you know. I mean, you understand? This is how they bring the New Year in. And these are the people that y'all are crying over. I'm just saying, that's what you're doing, black people.
arrival of spring, let's also educate ourselves on Iran's diverse and colorful history. From our team at Tap Persia, we wish you all a happy, healthy, and jolly.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the very knowledgeable video. Let's see what else people have to say. Let's see, maybe some more. Maybe I missed some things. Okay, I'm just saying. Maybe I didn't see something that I should have saw. Okay, because I'm sure there's somebody in here that's gonna support what you all have to say. Let's keep pushing. Let me see what else I got here. Okay, all right. Here's one. I found this interesting.
What's going on, guys? It's History Obscured, and I've got Islam's black slaves. Okay, I knew about it. Black slaves sold in Persia, modern day. Oh, you mean they have books about this? Oh my God, why didn't the black people who supported Iran read these books first? Slaves, the Other Black Diaspora by Ronald Siegel. All right, so we're going to go to page 125 to touch on black slaves being sold in Persia, which will be modern day. But they said Persians are different than Arabs. That's what y'all said. Y'all told me Persians are different than Arabs, but I'm like, but Persians had black slaves too. And now you're telling me they have a book about it? Is this the only book? Maybe it's a rare find. Maybe you can't get it on Amazon for $29.99. Maybe back in 2023, when you were still coming out to COVID-19, you decided to get the book and you was like, damn, that's jacked up. And then you was like, these people that don't deserve my sympathy. But anyway, let's keep listening to what he said. Iran in 1842. All right. So, in 1842, the number of African slaves who landed at Persian ports, who estimated at 1,080, and a questionnaire elected the response that about 3,000 slaves, roughly 2,000 males and 1,000 females, arrived in Bois each year, with only 170 or 180 sold locally at the large majority dispatched to Marmara, and Basra. Yeah, so all right, so you're seeing here. So they kept stats, they kept good numbers. Yeah. With regards to African slaves being sold in Asia, but specifically Persia. Now, the reason why I'm touching on this is because slavery extends way past the transatlantic slave trade. This is an example. Slavery in Persia ended in 1929. What that means is there are people who might be alive today who are around in Persia or Iran when they had real slaves. Now, they might be damn near 100, but they might remember, okay, when they had black people that look like most of you black Americans were slaves over there, okay? And you all are concerned about the United States giving them that work. That's what you're telling me. These are who you concerned. These are the oppressed people you concerned about, the former slave owners. That's who y'all concerned about. It take a couple of generations to kind of wash that out the system. We got free from slavery in 1865, and here we are in 2026, and these folks still ain't got rid of it. Those people are one generation out. You think they like you? I'm never going to be okay with people bombing oppressed people. They don't look like they're oppressed to me. It looks like they are the oppressors. It looks to me, if we went and did some interviews in southern Iran and talked to the black people who are the former descendants of slaves who have been erased by their government and purposely pushed out the line of the media, they would say that, no, we don't think, we think they're oppressive too. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of what I'm concluding right now, in my humble opinion. Okay, let's keep listening to the brother read the book. Of a nation in Asia taking black slaves into captivity and selling them. All right. According to such dispatches, the trade in Ethiopian slaves, that's going into Negro slaves, was especially profitable. Oh, they call them Negro too? Damn. They call them Negro? This sounds so similar. Is this Georgia or Iran? I mean, is this Alabama or Tehran? Where is this? Because this sounds like a story I'm very familiar with as a foundational Black American person. Let's keep listening. A girl bought at Berbera for 40 Maria Thursa dollars, £8 sterling, could fetch as much as 150 at Bois. Yet even the profits on other African slaves reaching Bois were never less than 50%. Almost all such sources agree that once these slaves arrived at their ultimate destination, their condition was little worse than that of the free population around them. So you're seeing here that it was common, all right, for black slaves to be sold in Iran, all right, and it's giving you an example of the pricing that he went for, all right, in relation.
Somebody type Persians were slave owners. Okay, Persian. I know you try. They're not Arab. They're Persian. They were black slave owners too. Okay, all you people looking, all y'all looking mad. Where's my comment? Where all the people from my comment section at? All you in my community tab, I hope y'all show up.
To a little girl, okay? And the living conditions that they were forced to live in, all right, in their captivity in Iran, okay? So this goes to show you, man, that slavery has, especially blacks going into captivity, has a long range of history in the various nations that they were taken to, all right? So that's it from me. History obscured. Peace.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. Just because they're ashamed of the history doesn't mean it didn't happen. We're going to talk about it on this page. We talk about it. I'm not going to let you run away from it over here. You are not going to run away from it over here. All right, let's keep listening. Have y'all remember that TV show, The Shaws? I think it was on cable or something like that. You guys remember The Shaws of Sunset? Check this out.
Remember Shaws?
Thank you so much, Penelope, baby. All right, let's remember The Shaws of Sunset. You remember why black people stopped watching it? Racism.
Shaws of Sunset. Reza, I used to really, in the beginning, I liked Reza. But somewhere along the way, I was like, I clocked Reza. Like, Reza definitely especially when it had to do with the friend having a baby by a black man.
The friend had a baby by a black man, and then what Reza do after the friend had a baby by a black man? Was her name Becky or Karen or Reza? Reza sounds like some Karen activity to me, but go ahead.
Reza and Mike gave hardcore racist, right?
The Shaws of Sunset from Iran gave hardcore racism. Now, these are American Iranians, okay? That's what you're telling me? So they brought it over here with them. Damn, that's sad.
And as a black person, I know that there are Afro-Iranians.
Me too.
So I know that you feel some type of way that Iran didn't accept you, but they accept the black community. The way that they were going so fucking hard on my girl because she had a baby out of wedlock with a black man, but they were both of their partners were.
She had a baby she got a black baby daddy. You can say it, baby. Your teeth gonna be looking good too. Your teeth, you got that good. I see you. You get some braces too. But anyway, another subject.
White is insane. So I'm scrolling through the TikTok streets or whatever, and I come across this video, and that wrapped all that shit up for me.
It did.
Hold on.
Absolutely.
This is what self-hate looks like.
Look.
I totally love and support everything he's doing. And if he wants to bomb Iran, I'm totally in support of him. I think that...
You're down for bombing Iran?
I'm down for bombing Iran only because I think that we should have invaded Iran instead of Iraq, because the Iranians would have appreciated it and they would have been liberated.
Mind you, millions of Iranians came out in support of Iran.
So sanctions on Iran, bomb the bad people in Iran.
You tell me this is how the Iranians feel about the invasion. Okay, that's a whole nother subject we haven't even dealt with.
And help them, liberate them. They want to be...
Okay, we hadn't even dealt with that yet. I'm just still talking to my black people about helping them really understand, how they should feel. I'm not telling you how to feel. Okay, you can still be empathetic for whoever you want to be empathetic for. My suggestion is you save it for your own people, or at least find better candidates. Let's listen to some more people tell us about the situation. I'm just keep listening. Okay, we listening. I think we saw this video. I'll let it play again.
People think that they are white, and do they indeed believe that they are white? And my answer...
Now, this is Forehead Girl. We saw this video before. Let's remember, white. Iranians believe they are white. Okay? This is what she's saying. I'm not saying it. I'm just playing video.
Answer to you is that yes.
And I know that I'm doing a horrible job of not talking over the videos. I know I made you all promises that I wouldn't talk over the videos, and I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry. I should do better. And I know there are going to people being in the comments section say, you need to let the videos play. You can go right on TikTok and get these videos yourself. Okay, I'm gonna talk over these damn videos today. Today, I'm talking over videos. I'm yelling at the screen, talking over videos today. Okay, and I don't care what y'all say. Now I'm gonna let it proceed. Go ahead.
A large portion of the diaspora is genuinely convinced that they are the true Aryans, meaning that their ancestors migrated from the Caucasus, that the only reason they're brown is because of all of the invasions we've had over the past couple of thousands of years. Now, you may be thinking this is absolutely delusional, which it is, and it's rooted in racism and white supremacy, which I will get into in a little bit. The reason why many Iranians think this way is that during the Shah's reign, so Pahlavi's reign, he put it in the K through 12 curriculum that Iranians are really the true white people. They're truly white. We're the true Aryans, right? And so a lot of the elder Iranians grew up with this idea, being fully convinced that they are the true Aryans, therefore passing it on to their children. Now, why did he do this? It was actually because he was trying to normalize Western relations with America. And if you want to read more about this, there's a book called The Limits of Whiteness. It's written by an Iranian sociologist.
Maybe they're not going to read no books. They're not going to read any books at all. But I appreciate you. I'll look at the book myself, but they're not going to read the books. Okay, that's why we in the situation we in. On my community tab over there, you got all these black people mad at me for saying, hey, I support America. I support American troops. I support the interests of America. How can you do that? They're oppressing people. And I'm like, but you don't know the history of Iran. They oppress our people. But anyway, I'm going to let the little lady, and they're white. This is white people problems. White people fighting white people.
And her book really breaks this down and why it's so problematic and why Iranians adhere to this. But a lot of the time you'll hear Iranians say, well, America's not going to go that hard on us because we're the true Aryans. We're not Arab. We're Persian.
We're Persian. Somebody say we're Persian. Somebody type we're Persian.
Okay, the average American, you're an Arab, but whatever. You think that the average hillbilly is going to know the difference between Iraqi and Iranian. Okay. Another part of this is that whenever they try to insult other people is they'll say, oh, you're not really Iranian. You're Afghan, you're Arab, your ancestors are Arab. They do that shit to me all the time.
So they treat, they're colorist. She's not white enough to be a white Iranian. That's basically what this little lady is saying. They're colorist. Okay?
Because for an Iranian, I am of darker skin. Now I know to a lot of you that
now you look pretty white. So if they're whiter than you and they consider you dark, they must be white. That's what it sounds like to me. They keep all the blacks down in the South by the beach. That's what I get. All the blacks in southern Iran by the beach where it's hot, and they must keep all the white Iranians in the north. Is that what you're saying, ma'am? Let's keep pushing.
May shock you and say, well, you don't look dark skinned, which I'm not. I'm not saying I'm dark skinned. I'm saying on the scale of being Iranian, I am much more tan and much more brown than the average Iranian. And so a lot
but not the black Iranians that live in the southern part of Iran who are in the shanties, who are the descendant of slaves from Africa. No, they're clearly black. I see. Let's keep going.
A lot of the times they'll come into my comments and they'll be like, you're really Pakistani, you're really Arab, you're not Persian. No, I'm very Persian. I even lived there. I probably lived there more than you have, to be honest. But yeah, so I hope that answers a lot of your guys' confusion.
So you out here fighting to be white, baby girl. That's what you do. You out here fighting to be white. They don't even say. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this informative video. I have a couple more videos. I'm not going to waste all my time trying to convince you all of something you should know, but that's what I do here. This is aggressive history. We teach aggressive history on this page. Okay, it's aggressive in your face. I'm going to prove you wrong history over here. Now, let's listen to some more folk, and then we're going to get to work.
Iranians are not Arab Islamists. They're Iranians. They've always been Iranians. They have occupied by a regime that is not their own, by a regime that is not speaking their language, by a regime, and let's make that very, very clear, because sometimes it's like hard.
So she's basically saying that the Persians got invaded by the Arabs, and they are being occupied by the Arabs regime. And I'm going to go into some detail about that. And when I finish telling you the history of this, y'all might say, well, damn, they kind of brought that on themselves. Just give me a minute. Not everybody's a victim that says they're a victim. First of all, we have to establish that these people were slave owners all the way up to 1929. Okay, let's talk about that. They had slavery going on till 1929. In 1979, that's when this regime took over. So it was a 50-year time period. Okay, now they complaining about oppression, but just 50 years before that, y'all were oppressing black people from Africa. You still had slavery going on in Iran just 50 years before you start complaining about being oppressed yourself. So we don't let them finish.
Hard for us to understand what happened inside of Iran. The Islamist Ayatollahs came to our country, and the first thing that they did, they took our flag.
Now he looks white too. All y'all look, I mean, if y'all say you're white, y'all look white to me. I mean, you don't look white like to me. When I say white, well, I don't think y'all look white, like America white. Like where all my white people from? Where all the white nationalists? Where y'all at? Make all the white nationalists hit the W button in the chat room. All my white nationalists who are following me right now over here trying to get a thrill. Make sure you hit don't run. I want you here because I need y'all to hit that subscribe button. I want everybody to subscribe to my channel. Okay. I want the baby mamas, the baby daddies. I want the ex-convicts, the police, the white nationalists. I want the midgets, the Muppets, everybody's. I'm trying to get to this 100,000 thing. Okay. And we got people in here and I need y'all to make this happen. I don't discriminate. I don't care. I'm going to say it. Okay. Uncle D is going to say it. I ain't got the sense that I used to have. I don't care about social. I'm going to say it. You're going to be over here. You're going to learn something. I'm going to hit you upside the head and you're going to be entertained because I find this is hilarious to me that all these black people just jumped on the Iran bandwagon and just went along with it. And you didn't know they don't even like your black behind. Y'all just jump. I can't believe America's in another brown country. They don't like they think they're white. They will be insulted if you call them brown or people of color. They are white. And y'all been all week. Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, shut up. Shut your mouth. But anyway, I need y'all to subscribe to the channel anyway, even if you don't like me. I want all my hate watchers. Subscribe to the channel right now. Help me get where I'm trying to get. Okay, I'm trying to be in that top 1% of YouTubers that only have 100,000 subscribers. I need y'all to go ahead and hit the button right now. Okay, hit the button right now. All right, and I'm gonna look at it in a little while. We're gonna let these videos.
You know, our flag, the Iranian flag, has a lion and a sun on it, and it's like green, red, and white.
Yeah.
And they started to write on it with Arabic writing.
Oh my God!
Which is not Persian. It's not our language on there. They took out our symbol of the lion and the sun and replaced it with an Allahu Akbar Islamic symbol in the middle.
They changed our little flag up a little bit. That just stressed you out, huh, baby? Go ahead.
Just imagine Islam is taking over Washington, taking the American flag, taking our flag, you know, keeping the colors in there and putting an Islamist symbol on it and an Arabic writing on it. Would you think that's our flag? Would you think, oh, this is the government of America now? Yeah. You would be like, this is an Arab Islamist jihadist occupation. They took down our flag. Then they started to replace everything that's Iranian, our ministries, our churches, our synagogues, our Jewish community. We had the biggest...
All right, thank you.
So last week, Iran said that everyone is going to feel what they do. And I see a lot of black people being like, but not us. Let me point something out. Iran has been going hard for black people like for a minute.
Really?
This article is from
when you say they've been going hard for black people, this is the typical black person responding. Black people, Iran has been going hard for black people for a minute. Now, the Ebonics translation, a minute means a long time. Clearly, it wasn't before 1929 because in 1929, they were still importing black people from Africa and enslaving them. So when you say in a minute, what do you mean? Okay. And also there are black people in the southern part of Iran who live in shanty towns who are being erased and are invisible because they're not going hard for black people. They're going hard on black people. Okay. But I'm gonna let you finish, baby. Go ahead and finish, baby girl.
2013. Okay. It's about Trayvon Martin. When that happened, Iran was pissed. Now I remember they kept
Iran was pissed. They were pissed because they unalived the black person in America. What about the black people in Iran right now? How about they not have blackface on So while they had their blackface on, they were pissed about Trayvon Martin. That's what you're telling me? That's what you're trying to tell me. Maybe you don't have the whole story, baby. I don't know if you had the whole story. I don't think the whole story has been brought to you, because I like to look at the whole story before I start supporting people. Okay, I treat my support like a new nanny or a babysitter. I'm gonna do an interview. I'm gonna do a background check before I bring this person in my house amongst, my valuable people and children and things. I'm gonna do a complete background search on this person. You understand what I'm saying? Same thing goes for my support for groups. Now, I got friends I support of Iranian descent, all sort of descent. Okay, and I support them as an individual, but when it comes to me as a collective, as a foundational Black American, lending my support to another group to group, I want to do some background. And when I see slavery, it's just ended in 1929, I'm not going to be able to say they went hard for Black people just because they put some newspaper articles out in the paper when Trayvon Martin got killed in 2013. I'm just saying you entitled to do what you do.
Mentioning it and saying how this was a huge injustice, and they were pissed that America just let this happen. And they're not just new to this, they're true to this. Even in 1984, Iran had a
not just new to this, they true to this. You rhyming for them.
stamp with Malcolm X's face on it. They've been in support of a lot of things that Black Americans have done.
We got a stamp with Harriet Tubman's face on it and Martin Luther King. Does that mean we don't have racism in the United States? I think we still do. I'm just saying that. But go ahead.
But the hard part is, just because the way our news cycle works, a lot of this doesn't make news like MSNBC or CNN that most Americans watch. I only know this because I was a history major, which a lot of people feel like is a pointless
You're a history major. Somebody type history major.
degree, but it's a degree that makes you go and research things that most people wouldn't know. And
I'm sorry. I'm going to run that back one more time. I wanted y'all to hear this. Find this young lady.
Which a lot of people feel like is a pointless degree.
Okay, hold on.
I only know this because I was a history major, which a lot of people feel like is a pointless degree, but it's a degree that makes you go and research things that most people wouldn't know.
Did you stop researching in 1930? Did you stop researching Iranian history in 1930? Because in 1929, they had slaves. I actually have a bunch of videos. There are YouTube videos right on the internet right now that you can look. There's articles and all sorts of stuff. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop them right in the chat room for everybody right now. You can follow these links. Did you not research this? This is available. You're a history major. Where did you get your history degree from, baby? If you don't know that these people practice anti-slavery, anti-Black racism, they got current race. Go ahead, baby.
And one thing I noticed is that even when we're not paying attention, other people are paying attention to us. With that being said, I just want to share this map so they know if they're not aiming for certain populations, just remember them.
Oh, so you think that if they come over here and invade or throw one of their little Iranian missiles over here, that they won't try to hit you as a Black American? They got Black people in Southern Iran. You're not a mysterious person to them. They got Black people over there. They got Blacks there right now. You think they don't care if they gonna get everybody? That's what you need to understand, baby. But go ahead and finish.
The majority of this is in the South, and I don't know about the rest of America, but keep the South safe, okay?
Keep the South safe. All right, a history major. Somebody type history major in the chat room. History major. Let's see what else we have. All these other interesting videos, all these different perspectives. Let's see what this fella has to say. Go ahead.
Had a Malcolm X stamp back in 1984.
Okay.
Iran has a Patriotism street in Tehran.
Iran just got rid of slavery in 1929. Iran has Black people who are descended from slaves living in shanty towns in the hot ass part of Iran, in southern Iran right now. Iran practices blackface for Christmas every year.
Iran had a conference against police brutality for Black Americans back in 2015.
Iran's leader unalived a whole bunch of Iranians recently.
President Hassan Rouhani and Ayatollah Khomeini spoke out after the death of George Floyd, when many conservatives were mocking him and saying that he died of a drug overdose.
Iran considers themselves Iranians white. They consider themselves the original Iranians, sir. We got to do better. We got to do a little bit more research. Why don't you talk to the black Iranians first? Let's see what they have to say.
During the Iran hostage crisis, Iran freed the African Americans 2 weeks after the start of the crisis because they thought they weren't spies and showed solidarity with oppressed people.
Well, why do you think they did that? To show solidarity with oppressed people. But in 1979, Iran had just gotten rid of slavery of black people. Okay? That's what I need you to understand. Let's keep going. There's a difference between performative and manipulation. I mean, you know, we'll talk. We're going to get started.
To put it in context, that's more than a year before the end of the Iran hostage crisis, which ended in 1981. Iran supported Venezuela and the Bolivarians when America was sanctioning the economy to death by doing trade and supporting Venezuela's sovereignty and defense.
But it seemed to me like the Venezuelans wanted the Venezuelan government to be gone. My opinion, but
helping them build up their drone industry. Iran's been one of the few instances of resistance against is not real's expansionism and supporting the resistance in Palestine and throughout the Middle East. But the Islamic Republic is an oppressive regime. Ironic, coming from the people who support the Shah and his son.
I mean, according to the people who are in southern Iran who are of African descent, yes, that's what, and I'm inclined to believe them, sir, respectfully.
The Shah of Iran that ruled brutally for 26 years, you know, the one that had a secret police called the Sabak that was backed by the CIA and Mossad, the same one that was massacring protests, torturing people, and extrajudicial killings.
So they got rid of that guy, and then they got another oppressive regime. That's what you're telling me. And now they don't like this new oppressive regime. Is that what you're telling me, sir? I mean, okay.
And speaking of which, how did the Shah of Iran even get into power? He came in 1953. Oh. So you mean to tell me that the Shah of Iran got into power because he overthrew the democratically elected leader of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, who wanted to nationalize the oil in opposition to America and the UK? But you say you support democracy and the protesters, the same protesters.
What I'm saying is I support black people and I support us resting. That's what I say. What I say is I'm going to focus on me and mine. That's what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is black people are resting and you are on the internet taking sides. And I'm telling you, we didn't jump up to defend folk getting sent home by ICE. We didn't jump up to defend folks getting arrested. And we not jumping up to defend taking sides in this war. Black people are resting. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But see, you know, black people want to be liked and they want to jump out front and they want to be pat on the head and they want people to tell them, oh yeah, you guys always fight oppression. That's what you want. And I'm saying, no, we're still resting. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. In 2026, we are still resting. And we got all these black people who jump up and got something to say. I'm gonna let you say a little bit more.
That is not real has said they have been arming, that Mossad has been saying that they have been infiltrating. The Islamic Revolution of 1979 was led by the people. The
people elected Ayatollah Khomeini, and he been doing some stuff to the people. They had to put the hijabs back on. But I'm gonna let you.
Iran chose Mohammad Mossadegh back in 1953. America and the UK said no. They installed their puppet who brutalized the population, brutalized Muslims, and Iran had enough, so they had a revolution back in 1979. So no, I'm not going to back the Islamic Republic's downfall and toppling. No, I'm not going to do.
I'm not getting it in at all. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not in it at all. I'm just telling my people, hey, if you support it, fine, but you should know this. You know, black Americans defending Iran, okay, it's some things you need to know. That's what we do on this page, okay? They learn something, I earn something. That's what we do. I'm not just going to let folk like you get them all gassed up to run out there and have them support who they believe to be an oppressor and come to find out the same people they think is being oppressed or oppressing people that look like us, sir, respectfully.
That.
It's mighty tight we resting in the chat room. Somebody type, we are resting in the chat room. I don't care what they say. I'm still resting. I'm not going to sit up here and let these people gas me up to jump out there. I'm going to let one more video play.
Been set free. Venezuela has been set free. Nigeria has been set free. All of these people has been liberated. And they are happy. And they are thanking God and they're thanking the President of the United States for stepping in and setting them free. Now, you may not like that. A lot of people here have a whole lot to say. But y'all ain't been through what.
A lot of people are just, and let's be honest, there are a lot of black people, especially who are anti-American. It's true. There are a lot of black people. I'm not saying you're critical of the war. There's one thing to be critical of a war effort. There's another thing to want to see your own country downfall. That's the people. I'm going to deal with them in a little while, but let's keep listening to the
these people been through. Listen, before you say, oh, stop the wars and we shouldn't be going in getting a dictator or we shouldn't be no new wars and all the other stuff. Man, look at these people. Did you look at the people? Are you listening to the people? Are you looking at them? Are you hearing what they saying? Y'all was saying all that and the Venezuelan people was screaming in the streets saying, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Point.
Liberated. Libertad, liberated. Y'all didn't listen. Y'all ain't want to pay attention to that. The people in Iran, listen to them. They are happy. They are free. They are saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are free. Years of suffering. You gotta be happy for that. You gotta be. Why? If not, why? Why are you not happy for it? Why are you not happy? People in Nigeria, Christians being slaughtered. They are happy now. They have been liberated. Come on, y'all. Listen. The Lord, Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Go and wrap it up.
Father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everything is done for a reason, and everything will come to pass. His will shall be done.
All right. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. Preach the word. Preach the word. I'd like to thank the guest pastor for coming to visit us today. But we're going to go ahead and commence with the service. I'd like to thank KW5357. I'd like to thank everyone here today. I appreciate you all. We are going to go ahead and commence with the lesson. The lesson, the learning shall commence right now. We are going to learn something today. We are going to give you what you need. Hallelujah. We're going to give you everything you need so you can be well prepared, so you can be armed. Okay, you can be armed with the knowledge you need so you can traverse these streets for however long this war lasts, and you'll be able to explain to people why you are having a seat, why you're not involved in any of what's going on right now, why you have your feet up still. Now, again, as I said, we're going to talk about how this started, okay, and we're going to go over a little history, okay? So before the revolution of 1979, Iran was ruled by a Shah. Okay, his name was Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. Okay, I'm not gonna try to say that name too many times. Just call him the Shah. Okay, there's too many syllables for me to say. Okay, this late in the evening after I've been talking for an hour and a half. Now he became the king in 1941 after Britain and the Soviet Union forced his daddy to step down during World War II, and over time the Shah gained more power. And Iran still had a parliament and elections, but the Shah controlled pretty much all the political decisions. He was the boss dog. He told people what to do. And so a major turning point happened in 1953 when the Iran's elected a prime minister. His name was Mohammad Mossadegh. I can't say that name too many times. We just gonna call him Eminem. All right, somebody type Eminem in the chat room. Shout out to my man CJ Marsh. So you got the Shah and you got Eminem, okay? Now, Eminem was removed in a coup, Okay, it's supported by the United States. In other words, we don't like him. We're going to get him out of there. We're going to send our people over there. It's not in our interest. All right, we want to keep this oil coming. Okay, that's basically what it's about. You know how y'all want cheap oil? You know, you want to pay, how much do you want to pay for oil before y'all start complaining about what America is doing? Y'all can't, the 50-cent raise in the gas, you're going to have a fit. Okay? Okay, so what did they do? America said we got to do what's in our best interest. But our people want to pay for cheap oil. They want to pay for cheap gas. They don't want to pay high amount for gas. So we're going to get this dude out here so we can get this oil freed up. So the United States and Britain, because we got hypocrites in here. You benefit from the actions that the United States is taking, but you sitting up here complaining about what the United States is doing. You don't like the method. Oh my God, I can't believe that. That's like them gals back in the day. They used to have dope dealer boyfriends. You up here talking bad about dope dealers and you got that Gucci purse that he bought. You better cut it out. You rolling around in the blood money. Hypocrites. I'm talking to you all right there. I'm talking to everybody. Listen, you want cheap gas? You don't want to pay $4, $5, $10 for gas? That's what America was doing. But nevertheless, after that coup, after Eminem was taken out, after that event, this Shah became one of America's strongest allies. Don't do me like that. And guess what? Iran got rich on oil money. Oil money helped Iran grow quickly from the 1960s to the 1970s. They was like, we are Dubai. We are rolling out. We got new roads. We got factories. We got cities. Okay, our women are looking good around here. Everything fine. Woo, yeah. Okay. However, many Iranians believed that the government was becoming more authoritarian and that ordinary people were not sharing equally in the wealth created by the oil boom. In other words, a lot of money spread out around here. We want more of it. We don't like, hey, Shaw, you need to break bread. That's what basically what this is. So guess what? These people decided they were the tensions between modernization and political control. Some people wanted to keep it old fashioned. They wanted to keep them horse and buggies. They didn't want those Ferraris riding around. And so what happened was these are these people in their own country, mad at their own leadership. Okay, is money going around? Some people wanted more money. You know how you can't make some people, you just can't make them happy. This is one of those situations. Some people you can't make happy. All right. And that's what I'm looking at. And those of us who lived through this and understood this and grew up, oh, wow. Yeah, these people are not happy with each other. Seemed like they never happy. Nevertheless, they had something called, in 1963, the Shah, okay, he launched a major reform program. He called it the White Revolution. All right. The Shah said these reforms would modernize Iran. And this is 63. Okay, and move the country away from the old feudal system, right? And the plan included redistributing land from large landowners, take their land, and giving it to millions of farmers. They created programs to fight illiteracy. They was over there reading and everything, right? In the rural areas. They expanded, everybody got health care. They gave women rights to vote. It's 1963. And at first, they like, okay, this seems like progress. We can read now, the literacy increased, the children went to school and they had new roads and infrastructure and we built, they built up, everything was getting built up. Oil money, this is Dubai in 1970, okay? And so the oil money helped, from 1970, it helped finance many of the developments. On the surface, Iran looked like it's growing, doing great, you know? But see, these reforms also created tension. They created problems. Many of the wealthy landowners that got their land took, right, and their property and their influence, because you lose your land, you lose your influence, you lose your status. And some of the farmers received the land, it was too small to make a living. You got, okay, I got like 2-3 acres. I can't plant no figs on here. We can't get no pomegranate money out of this. This is just a little piece of land. So nobody's happy, all right? But anyway, it forced a lot of people to move to the big city of Tehran and looking for jobs because you couldn't work out there in the field. There's not enough land to support themselves, so we moved around to get some jobs. And at the same time, you had the religious leaders, okay, these Muslims, okay, because remember they were saying that Persia is not Arab, but they had Muslims over there. So they had these religious leaders became angry because they believed the Shah was pushing Iran towards Western culture. We don't want to be like America. And they said it was weakening the Islamic tradition. And one of the loudest critics was this fellow named Ayatollah Khomeini. Okay, he called him Ayatollah. That's the one Trump just dropped them bombs on the other day. But anyway, he accused the Shah of serving foreign power. Specifically, he said, "You are Israel and the United States puppet." That's what he said. And when the government arrested Khomeini, and the Shah said, "You know, I got something for him, man. Let me go ahead and put him in jail." Guess what happened? Protests broke out. So these same people that the Shah is kicking down bread, look, man, we getting roads, we teaching these kids how to read. You got this one dude named Ayatollah who said, "Look, man, I don't like none of that." Protests broke out. They arrested the dude they arrested him and the protest broke out. And look, the Shah, he crushed the uprising. He said, "We're going to put this down like a bad habit." So they put that work on, okay? The secret police, bats, billy clubs, it went down. And so now you got a situation between the monarchy and the religious leaders. You got the Shah and the Muslim leadership beefing, okay? And people are choosing sides, okay? And it would grow strong over the next 15 years. You understand what I'm saying? So here we are. What everybody beefing for? We got this oil money. We getting rich, man. The kids can read. The women are looking good. They out there with their hair flossing. Why are we beefing? Because some people not getting enough money. Some people say we want to go back to the old ways. You know how the church is. Same thing. They think you have a little too much power. You see what I mean? These people don't get along. That's what I'm trying to understand. This is self-inflicted beef. We always try to blame America. Okay, great. Yeah, we put somebody in that was going to sell us cheap oil because we want to keep cheap oil prices. And I don't care what any of y'all say. The minute the oil goes up to $5, $6, $7, $8 a gallon, y'all going to have a fit. Okay, and the American government and whoever else knows that. So this is what we were doing. Part of that reason, that Venezuelan thing, oil. Because y'all don't want to pay for it, okay? Now, let's get back to it. So by the 1970s, the tension in Iran had reached a breaking point. It was beef out here, man. It was beef. You had economic change. You had rising prices. You had political repression. And people were mad across the country. Students, workers, you know, religious leaders, people that don't have nothing to do all day. The business owners was mad too. Okay, they were speaking out against the Shah's rule. All right, everybody. So the demonstration started in 1977, and it spread from city to city. Remember, everybody had moved to the city. Okay, they moved out of the country and they went to the city because they were looking for jobs and it was too expensive. You know how it is. And so here's what happened on January 1978. The government published a newspaper article attacking the Ayatollah Khomeini, you know, your boy, who had been living in exile. He ran off. I think he was living in Iraq at that time. He got arrested. He got up out of there. But anyway, you had a bunch of religious students in the city, what's called Qawam, and they protested the article because the article was criticizing they dude, the Ayatollah, right? And guess what happened? The Shah sent them boys out there. They put them things on them, billy cubs. They filled them with lead, okay? You had a lot of protesters getting unalive. The truth, it was about 4 or 5. But the thing was, the Shah made a big deal out of it. He said, "Oh, no, it was like hundreds of people." Blah, 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 blah. Kind of blowing up to see, you know how people put extras on stuff to try to make it a bigger deal than what it was. And of course, we don't, you know, loss of life is loss of life. But it's a difference between 4 and 400. But nevertheless, in Iran, they have a tradition of mourning ceremonies and that are held for 40 days after someone dies. So for 40 days, another wave of protests appeared. In different cities, it went down. And these protests continued and they grew throughout 1978. The workers start striking. Employees in the oil industry said, "We ain't working no more. We're not going to do it." That was the main source of the income from of the country. Now, keep in mind, the Shah at this time, and this is a very rarely known fact, he was dealing with cancer. Okay, so he dealing with cancer and all this going on. It's 1970. These people are going crazy, man. He got that old bladder, whatever kind of cancer he got. He out there struggling. You know what I'm saying? It was hard on him. The Shah was dealing with cancer, and the country's going up in smoke. Okay, the oil money wasn't coming in, so the oil production dried up because the people went on strike, and the government, they start losing money, they start losing revenue, and the Shah like, man, I just can't deal with this no more, man. I'm tired. I've been trying to these people hard to deal with. I can't do it. You had millions of people marching in the street. They demanded the end of it. They get up out of here. They wanted him out of here. So early in 1979, the Shah packed his stuff up. He said, man, this ain't gonna work out. I got to deal with this scam. January 16th, Martin Luther King birthday. Okay, he left Iran. Okay, he left. He took his family. He eased on up out of it. He never returned. Okay, 2 weeks later, your boy Ayatollah Khomeini came back. Massive crowds of people surrounded. Within days, he said, I'm the boss. He said, to forget that monarchy, Islam is going to rule here again. Okay, that's what he said. Okay, and it ended centuries of royal rule, and it replaced the new Islamic, replaced the government with this Islamic government. That's what they did. That's what they did. Okay, that's how it happened. Okay, now if we want to go back a little further. Okay, so that's that part. That's how. So what you learn there is that these people's problems are self-inflicted. They didn't like the king, okay, and now they don't like the theocracy. They didn't like the monarchy. Now they don't like the theocracy. I guess they're gonna try a republic. I don't know what's gonna happen, but these are these people's problem. Okay, now let's go back to 1929. Let's talk about slavery in Persia, because I know you all want me to make sure I distinguish between Persian and Arab, even though they're Muslim, right? For anyone who doesn't know, and I said this earlier, slavery historically existed. It was African slavery, and it happened in this region. How did it happen? Indian Ocean trade. Okay, slavery existed across these Muslim majority societies. Historically, it existed in Christian civilizations. And in Middle East enslaved African men, they castrated them and they used them as guards, and they worked in palace harems, and and this practice contributed to why you have Afro-descended people there. Okay, now all this history matters because it shows that slavery and the racial hierarchy were not limited to just here in the Western countries. Slavery didn't begin in Persia, it didn't begin in Iran. Okay, but long before Persia became a major power, slavery had already existed for thousands of years, and I talked about that before. Now, I can kind of go into some details, but basically, slavery existed in Iran's society during several periods. The Safavid dynasty from 1501 to 1736, and the Qajar dynasty from 1789 to 1925. So this is darn near the same amount of time it existed here in the United States. And during these periods, Black people were used as, not just Black, but Black people, African slaves, they used it working in the house, they worked as guards, they were in the military. They didn't invent slavery, but they definitely benefited from it. Now, here's what happened. The Arab expansion in the 7th century spread Islam across North Africa and Middle East. And during the later centuries, the slave system existed across the region from North Africa and what was called the Ottoman Empire in parts of Central Asia and the Persian Gulf. And these systems enslaved Africans, but also Europeans and Central Asians, and even and this is slavery. Everybody was in it. Now, Persia didn't run the transatlantic or trans-Saharan slave trade. That was a slave trade from West Africa that came all around the Sahara, up the Sahara Desert, east to the Middle East. Okay, they didn't run it. Okay, it was primarily operated by Arab Muslims and North African traders. However, enslaved Black people were brought east through the Indian Ocean. Okay, starting in the 9th century, and they were taken to the Persian Gulf region. And Black slavery was a historical reality in Iran. Okay, and the fact that nobody talks about it is sad, but we gonna talk about it. We talked about it today because y'all need to know. Okay, now by the late 19th century, the image of Blackness became strongly associated with slavery in most parts of Iran society. black was considered servitude. Okay, these people had folk jumping in the waters getting pearls, all those nice pearls and stuff like that. You had to go down there. Imagine you black, they throw you in the water, go down there and get some pearls. You down there at the bottom of the ocean getting pearls and whatnot. You can't even keep the damn pearl. Okay, so this is the type of stuff they had to do. Agriculture, so they were working in the fields, they were chopping sugar cane, they were maids, they were all kind of stuff. So again, this was well known. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about something else. Now, again, Persians or Iranians, they're not Arab. I mean, but they are Muslim. And they've been heavily influenced by Islam and by Arab culture, especially when it comes to certain attitudes towards race, specifically blackness. So what you have is to me, is six one way, half a dozen other. Nevertheless, it's still a Middle Eastern regional culture that developed over centuries where different societies influence one another. No different than black folk. You live around Asians. You live around Italians, you eat tacos, you eat spaghetti, you know a little, especially people in New York, you know a few Italian words. That New York accent is basically an Italian New York accent. But nevertheless, you have these Arabized societies in the Middle East, Persian or not, they've still been Arabized, okay? And they have a long history connected to the enslavement of African people. Over time, Persian society absorbed many cultural and religious influences from many cultural, from these Arab Islamic invaders, if you will. Right, the Arab conquest of Persia in the 7th century this is 700, this is year 700, okay? Or the 700th century. So the 7th century, you know. So of course there's going to be influence. Been there a long time. And in that sense, Persian culture, it adopted many of the elements of the broader Islamic civilization and shaped religion. And once, you know, I mean, once I knew black people had been, you know, enslaved in Iran, that they look like us, right? I mean, you know, it's like, okay, I got to look at this. And then here's another one, a little crinkle, and we talked about this. The word Iran itself comes from the ancient word that means land of Aryans. And originally this word referred to Indo-Iranian people who migrated into the Iranian plateau thousands of years ago. But over time, that ancient linguistic term was turned into what we know to be a racial term. All right. And again, this grew stronger under the Shah, the one that got cancer and got kicked out. Under him, or the Pahlavi dynasty from 1925 to 1979, the Shah. Again, they had taught the children. The children were brought up to believe they're the original Aryans. And so these people literally believe that they're white. They believe that they are the original Aryan race. The only reason that this is what they feel. And the only reason that they've been darkened is because of the Arab invaders. They felt like the Arabs came over there and impregnated their women and had relationships, and that's how they got dark. Okay. Or other ones say it's because of the sun. All right. So when Iranian nationalism began to emphasize Aryan identity, it also helped create a social hierarchy around skin color and ethnicity in everyday life. And this shows up in colorism. Dark-skinned people in Iran are assumed to be foreigners. Okay? Like Africans and the Afghanis and the Arabs, even when they're Iranian citizens. And in that way, the idea of Iranian is whiteness. In other words, just like in America, when I say an American, you don't picture a black dude from Compton, California with a Jerry curl, do you? You picture a white boy from Utah with blue eyes and blonde hair, with a Abercrombie & Fitch shirt on. That's what you envision, okay? That's what you envision, okay? So in Iran, when they say Iran, the typical Iranian sees a white Iranian. And that shapes how these people see their country. So in other words, the blackness, the anti-blackness or the blackness is the other. And see, when society builds part of its identity around being closer to whiteness or Aryan civilization, dark skin is often pushed to the bottom of the social ladder. You understand? Does it sound familiar? That's important to understand how slavery shapes the way people think. I want y'all to listen to me. Now get in tight, okay? Because we talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again, okay? People think just because, and I know I don't have to explain this to Black Americans, but just because slavery ended, okay, doesn't change people's attitudes overnight. When one group enslaves another group for a long period of time, those enslavers have to create these ideas in their head to justify what they're doing. They tell themselves that the people that they enslaved are less than human, that they're monkeys, that they're less intelligent, low IQ, and somehow they are meant to be slaves because that's all they're good for. Have we heard that before? Right? And see, these are the ideas used to make the system seem more acceptable. Right here in the United States, for example, white Christians, Anglo-Americans, and others use religion even as fake science to claim that Africans were inferior or that slavery was somehow approved by God, right? The curse of Ham. And in reality, the truth was much simpler. Enslavers wanted someone else to do their work. They were too lazy to do their own work. They didn't want to do it themselves. They had to make up reasons. Just science said it, religion said it, these N-words are supposed to do our work. Okay? So they built entire systems of belief, whether they be religious or scientific, built to justify forcing other human beings to do their work for them for free. And this same pattern has appeared in many societies throughout history, including Iran. And when slavery existed in Persia and later Iran, Africans were brought into the region through the Indian Ocean, the slave trade, and they were forced to be domestic servants and you in there making up beds and cooking and cleaning and pearl diving and chopping sugar cane. And that's what you did. Just like in other parts of the world. That's what they used Black people for. They benefited from the labor that develop ideas and place. That's why Persian society is so successful. You had all the slaves you had Black people doing all the hard work. All those great achievements of Persia probably had a lot to do with the fact that you had somebody else doing cleaning the damn toilet. You didn't have to do that. You could sit up there and write all those books and manuscripts. You had plenty of time to think. Did I tell y'all slavery officially ended in Iran in 1929? You think those forms, those attitudes that formed that whole time period before, do you think they disappeared overnight? You say, no, have not. Have not at all. And see, that history matters because the attitudes created by slavery didn't simply vanish when the law changed. Just like the United States after slavery ended, cultural stereotypes, racial hierarchies, social attitudes, they continue long after the legal system said it's illegal. In Iran today, there are communities known as Afro-Iranians, especially in the southern regions along the Persian Gulf. Many of them are descendants of East Africans who were brought to the region through the Indian Ocean slave trade. And today they're Iranian citizens, but their history is ignored in the mainstream and it's not even discussed, their Iranian identity. And see, this matters because the dominant national story in Iran right now is that they're Iranian, or this Aryan myth, the idea that Iranians are a pure, ancient, white civilization. And that narrative leaves very little room for people of African descent who lived in Iran for generations. And as a result, the Afro-Iranians experience anti-Black racism. They get mistaken as foreigners, especially when they go to northern cities like Tehran. They get asked questions like, why are you Black? Even when they speak fluent Persian, they're clearly part of the country's culture. In other words, their presence challenges the idea that all Iranians share the same background or appearance. Now, you heard about this dude, Farus, Haji Farus, the black-faced minstrel or clown. Look, these people have blackface, okay? Blackface minstrel. It's a well-known, I'm going to put the name up. I want you guys to see this. So you can Google it for yourselves when we finish here. Haji Farus, okay? This is the name right here. See that? You're learning something. Google that for yourself. Next time somebody tell you, oh, this poor rain, Google that. All right? It appears during the Iranian New Year celebrations, known as Nowruz, and the Iranians see Haji Farus as a cheerful holiday character, right? He's a seasonal entertainer. That's what he is. He's a happy Negro. He's a buck dancing, bug-eyed, happy Negro that makes them laugh. But see, that tradition has historical roots tied to the country's past with African slavery. And then the historians say that that the character represents, or he entertained his master during the holiday celebrations. And the traditional rhythm associated with Haji Farus includes lines where he directly addresses his master, encouraging him to smile and celebrate the new year. And you know how you have black folk on the stage buck dancing and making white folk laugh and giggle. You know how we do. Come on, rapping, talk about killing N-words and stuff like that. You know, twerking on the stage. Look at my big round booty. My big round booty is big. You know what you do. Making the white man laugh so he can call your names. And see, that's what they do that over there. It's a survival tactic. And this is how they see him. And so the discussion about race in Iran, well, let me say this: in November 11, 2008, there was a news agency outlet close to the president, and he referred to the U.S. President Barack Obama as a house slave. You understand that? That was November 11, 2008 commentary. The Borna News Agency, an outlet for the president of Iran, that president referred to Barack Obama as a house slave. And his name was Muhammad Ahmadinejad or whatever, Ahmadinejad. I can't say the name. You understand? And so after Obama's election, the newspaper, which is, again, this is what they said about him. Okay? I'm just saying. You had Revolutionary Guard. They have a weekly publication that wrote that a dark person rises to remove darkness from America, while also criticizing Obama for some of his actions. You understand? And then there's another story. We talked about that 1986 Iranian art house drama, Bashu, the Little Stranger. This is a story about a little dark-skinned boy who's the main character who flees Iran, the Iraq-Iran war, and ends up in northern Iran where the white Iranians are. And at one point, a woman who shelters him attempts to scrub the darkness off his skin. Reflecting, and what that does is it shows that discomfort with blackness in Iran. Because see, remember, the southern Iranians are dark complected because, you know, they have East African slave trade, and their presence is overlooked. These people act like they don't even know they're there. That's not even part of the Iranian national identity. And so for Iranians, the issue is not simply about a holiday character or a movie scene. It's about recognition. They don't even recognize these black people in their country. And these are the people y'all want to support. They don't recognize your black behind either. See? And here's the cold part about it. These black people have contributed to the Iranian culture for generations through music. Like they have a music style called the bandari to the local spiritual practices such as the czar ceremonies. And their history is pushed to the side. And here's the thing. When you understand the Afro-Iranian story, it reveals a large truth. Iran, like many other countries, has a complex history, okay? But ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. We need to paint an honest picture of these people. These people have, you calling the president of the United States a house slave. You got blackface going on every New Year's. I'm just saying. And again, as I said, the government tries to hide this. It's not widely discussed in schools. Historians note that, look, slavery just ended in 1929. They don't talk about that. Okay? There was an Iranian artist who sells paintings, and he was interviewed on the banks of the Rhone River in France. And he explained a conversation. He said that when he traveled through the villages and towns in southern Iran, he was surprised by how many Black Iranians live near the Persian Gulf. Their presence is not widely discussed in the national story of Iran, but there are some well-known Black Iranian musicians who were interviewed, and the conversation of the Bandera music came up. He basically said it's got an African cultural influence, African rhythms, and it's popular in southern Iran. And the music explained that the history of African slavery in Iran is rarely taught or openly discussed. They don't even talk about it. And a lot of people believe that the silence exists because it challenges a national narrative that focuses on this so-called ancient Persian identity and this Aryan heritage. These people are proud to be white. Okay? Now the communities along the coast, what you know what they call themselves on East, just in case some of you all who are not convinced? The communities that their ancestry traced back to East Africans, well, they call it, they come from the Swahili coast and the Sahel regions. And they were, again, they were transported across the Indian Ocean. And over generations, they became part of the Iranian society, but they're still of African descent. And they have heavy African influence. You understand? So why are we not talking about that? Why is that something we're not talking? Look, man. You can talk to these people. There's a lady, her name was Princella Kanku Jabida. And I think I actually have that video. And she talks about her influence or how she was treated in Iran. Let me see if I can get this video pulled up. I want to get this video if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm gonna let it play for a minute.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Middle East Matters. I'm Sam.
Fair use. Let's skip ahead. Let's skip right on ahead. Okay. I don't want to see all that. All that beefing. No. Let's see here. Listen to what this little lady has to say.
You know, to give you an example, it would often translate into being the only Black person in the room.
Hold on, let me play a little bit more. Fair use.
Indeed, I think
I'm sorry.
We live in a number of cities, for instance, Abadan,
Fair use.
Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, and Esfahan. And frankly, the list goes on. Now, many arrived on Iranian soil as a result of the Persian Gulf slave trade. Others came for economic opportunities. And to talk more about the Iranian African community, both in and out of the country, I'm joined by Priscilla Konku-Hoveyda. She's a human rights lawyer and one of the founders of the Collective for Black Iranians. Priscilla, it's wonderful to have you on. Tell us about your experience as a Black Iranian girl growing up in Tehran. This is a country where certainly at the time, many people had never even seen a Black person.
Now, she looked like some of y'all cousins, don't she? She looks like some of y'all cousins. She's clearly a Black woman of mixed heritage, but let's keep listening.
Thank you so much for having me, Sanam, today. And indeed, I think you've hit it right there. It was late 80s, early and mid 90s for me, having been born from an Iranian mother and a Congolese father, and having spent my formative years in Iran, Tehran, Isfahan, Mashhad, Qom, and mainly center and northern Iran. The experience
Fair
has
use,
been,
fair use, fair
as a
use.
child,
That's
quite
right.
isolating, quite stigmatizing, a lot of teasing, a lot of
Mm.
othering, a lot of questions. Chera pustet siyas, why are you black? Why are your hair this way? For those who could see my hair, and so forth. So lots of questions, and oftentimes for the 8-year-old, 6, 7, 9-year-old black little.
Are y'all hearing this? Are you listening to what she's saying? Sound familiar? Othering? Teased about her hair, about her looks, her skin color?
Girl that I was at the time, I didn't really have much answers to give them.
Now, you said it was isolating. Can you try and give us and our viewers some context here, Priscilla? Many Iranians to this day, they joke about the issue of race. Some of them still see Haji Firuz as a symbolic figure for the Persian New Year. That's, of course, their version of
Haji Firuz, remember we talked about him? That's blackface. Haji Firuz. This is their little blackface minstrel.
Of Father Christmas. But this is a polarizing figure, and the reason for that is because he's depicted with blackface.
Absolutely, Sannam. And, to give you an example, it would often translate into being the only black person in the room at Nowruz or the supermarket or the neighborhood school. I did not grow up in the southern part where in Abadan, Bushehr, or Bandar Abbas, you see more people who look like me and who would have looked like me.
She says she didn't grow up in the southern part. They keep all the blacks in the south. They keep all the black Iranians down south where it's hot. Apparently that's where they keep them. In the shanty towns, okay? And all the whites live north. Remember, her mama was white. Her mama was a white Iranian. Her daddy was from the Congo, okay? And so she lived up with her mama in the white part, and the rest of the blacks were down. So she's basically up there by herself. That's what she's saying. This is her experience in Iran. The same Iran that all you black folks are crying and whining about. She's telling you about the racial oppression and anti-black racism that she experienced. And I'm not saying you shouldn't feel sorry for people in pain. I'm just saying as black people, let's not put these people in the category of oppressed until we know who they're oppressing. And if those people that they're oppressing happens to be black people, we should take note. So, okay, so listen, I know y'all can go back to whining and crying about what the American government is doing to these Persian white people when we finish with the broadcast. But right now, you're going to listen and you're going to take this medicine. Let's keep listening. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Living in Tehran, traveling to Isfahan, where my grandfather is from, and spending a lot of time there. And for most folks there, it was their first time. And when there would be jokes made about me, oftentimes if I did wear some red, which I would be careful not to, it would be about being Haji Firuz and being there to make folks laugh. So a very, again, isolating experience where I didn't have a lot of answers to provide people because I was raised by my Iranian side of the family, myself trying to understand.
I was raised by the white side of my family, where all the mixed kids at, everybody who got a white mama in here. Basically, she said she was raised by her white mama side of the family, and they teased her. And every time she dressed up in red, they said, "You look like the little minstrel that dressed up in red. You, I love you, here to make us laugh." That where all the tears at? Where all you people who were whining and boo-hooing and crying about, oh, Iran, where y'all at? Oh, people of color, where y'all at? Bring your black behinds in here. I need y'all to come in here and stand front and center. All those tears you've been crying all week about how Iran, how America's racist and how Trump is racist and look how he's doing these people of color. Bring your black behind to the front of the class. And let's take a listen to what a black Iranian is saying about how she's treated by your so-called oppressed brethren in Iran. Praise Moses. Let's keep listening to what the lady has to say.
Why is it that the way that I looked was so surprising to a lot of my Iranian peers, family, relatives, friends, and later on colleagues?
So given that this was your personal experience, you decided, Priscilla, to travel around Iran, to reconnect with your roots, to meet other Black Iranians. Tell us about that.
Absolutely, Sanam, and it started through my own desire to understand better what it meant to be Black and Iranian, what it meant to be a part of the Iranian identity, not just as we hear it in Iran, but also on its diasporic iteration. And so I started reading about the connections between Africa and Iran.
She started reading, which is what some of y'all not doing. That's why y'all fell for the okie doke. When the white liberals told y'all to feel sorry for Iran, all you Black people jumped out the box and started feeling sorry for Iran. They got you again. They almost got you off the couch. Y'all lucky y'all got Uncle D here. I said, nah, we're going to keep resting. I know more than I'm going to talk to my people on Thursday. I had stuff to do. Couldn't come out here all week. I had law work to do. I'm a lawyer. Okay. Speaking of which, let me take this down for a minute. Let me have a conversation with you all. I need you all. Don't play with me. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to Super Chat. I'm glad 15 people learned something. I wish more people had learned something, but we're not finished. But maybe some of you all will learn something. But again, I appreciate you guys. But before we get to this superstar, I need you all to make sure you hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already. I don't know if you all have. I have not had an opportunity to check and see if you hit the subscribe button, but I'm looking now. I'm going to look right now to see if you good people care about me enough to hit the subscribe button and help me, okay? Because at this point, it's about me. It's about me getting to 100,000 subscribers, and it's taking a long time. I'm just saying, I feel like I should be there by now as people. I need some more people to subscribe. I need approximately 66 people. Well, hold on. I need 63 people to subscribe to the channel right now, and that will get me to 95,000. Okay, I need 63 people to subscribe to the channel. Okay, I need 63 people. Somebody type 63 in the chat room. Chantel Smith, I need you to subscribe to the channel. Dwight Chair, I need you to subscribe to the channel. Okay, who else is in here? Jelena Taborn, I need all y'all to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't hate watch. Okay, don't have me up here forehead sweating, talking to you all about history, trying to make it interesting. I need all of y'all to subscribe to the channel right now. Don't play me. I'm not here for the games. I need my subscriptions to go up. I want a little gold plaque on my wall behind my head. Okay? Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. If you have already subscribed to the channel, double check, because YouTube plays these vicious games with me. I need 58 people to subscribe to the channel to get me where I need to be. Okay, 58. Somebody type 58. In addition to that, make sure you like, share, subscribe if you appreciate what I'm doing. Yeah, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Do all those things. Do each and every one of those things. Now, are you still with me? Have y'all mad? Y'all still mad? Or y'all okay? Y'all all right? Now look, I think let me say that you're free to feel however you want to feel about global politics. Shout out to my man Mark the Freelancers. I'm happy we have at least 11 people who learned something in the broadcast tonight. Again, you don't have to give me anything unless you learn something. I believe only to give me if you learn something, I should earn something. Okay. I don't want anything for free for you people. I don't want y'all to give me nothing. I don't want nothing from none of y'all. You hear me? Not nothing. Not nothing. Okay. I don't want to hear what you guys say. However, those of you generous, kind, beautiful people, special people who actually learn something, I would appreciate if you all contribute if you learn something. Because some of these people, you can't teach them. You can't teach them nothing. They're not trying to hear it. You can talk to them till you're blue in the face. They're not going to learn anything. I don't know what it is. Okay, I've done my best. Okay, done my best to try to educate them. But unfortunately, only 11 people have learned something tonight or today or wherever you are. Maybe you sleep. Maybe you got your phone on the side of your face, is sweating, and you listening to me as you sleep, and you can't see. You can't tap the little button to put super chat, a cash app. That's fine. That's fine. But I want to give a shout out to the 11 people who did learn something. Thank you, 11 people. You are special. I'm going to read each and every one of your super chats when I finish with this broadcast. Thank you. to you all, not to everybody else, just to you all for learning something. Now we're gonna continue. Family, you free to feel however you want to feel about global politics, but that still doesn't answer the basic question. Black people, because you still, they say, because we're gonna get to this whole Iran hostage thing, and we're gonna come up on that next. All right, but you got Black people who live in Iran, who are Afro-Iranians themselves, who repeatedly spoken about the racism and discrimination in their own country. And they're well-documented Afro-Iranian communities in southern Iran whose ancestry traces back to Africa and the slave trade. And many members of these communities say that they deal with social stigma, stereotypes, being treated as outsiders in their own homeland. Black Iranians have described being constantly asked questions about their identity, why you're Black, where you're from, okay? How did you learn to speak our language? So the real question becomes simple. Should we, shout out to 100 Barb Wire, thank you so much, family, appreciate you. Joe Martin in the building, my man, there you go. But again, the question is, should we believe people arguing on the internet who say racism doesn't exist in Iran? Should we believe these people probably never even been to Iran, couldn't point Iran out on the map? Or should we listen to the Black Iranians who live in Iran who are speaking for themselves? Or should we, and they're describing their own lived experiences? How about that? That sounds like a good idea to me. And for any of you all who want to say something like, you got the argument that slavery in the Islamic world was somehow less humane because the people who enslaved them were so-called people of color, right? Some of you all have tried that. Just because you are a person of color and you're enslaving somebody, that doesn't change the fundamental reality that slavery is still slavery. Changing the rules around it doesn't make the system, or who's doing it in slavery doesn't change the system. The people who actually live in the society, the Afro-Iranians themselves say the discrimination exists. Their testimony deserves to be taken seriously before anyone starts romanticizing any country or government simply because it opposes another power. Now, let's talk about the 1979 Iran hostage crisis. Was it propaganda or was it real love? I'm gonna let the man of the hour who's no longer with us speak for himself. Y'all hit the number one button if you can hear clearly.
That today, perhaps today, some Black hostages and some female hostages will be released from the American embassy compound. Is that true?
The freedom of the women and Blacks will be given. Women are given great dignity in Islam, and the Blacks have been oppressed in the United States. Great injustice was done unto them. They were under pressure in the United States. Thus they came here. We are doing this owing to the tenets of Islam. In return, we ask nothing for their freedom. We want the Shah. Carter must return him. The world's...
So the Shah, they wanted to send the Shah back. He was trying to unalive him. Shout out to Yaya's kids, and also thank you, Intricately Tangled. Thank you, ladies, so much. Listen to, he said, we kidnapped all these people because we want you to send the Shah back here. You understand what I'm saying? They wanted the dude that ran off, Shah, got up out of there, he had the cancer. They wanted him back. Okay.
International law agree with this principle.
Okay. So you heard what he said, right? The whole purpose, they did the kidnapping or whatever, the hostage, they wanted the Shah back. Now, let's break this down. Now, have I established clearly that Iran and its people practice anti-Black racism? Have we established that? Do we need to see another hour and 15 minutes worth of videos, or has that been established? Have we established out of the mouths of the Iranian people themselves that Iranians see themselves as white? Have we established that? Okay, have we established that these people practice their own anti-Black racism and have their own white supremacy, and that they have gone out of their way to try to erase the Blackness and the past, their history of slavery from their past? Even so far as the brainwashing their children into believing that there was no slavery and that this is a white ethno state. Have I proved that? Have these people proved that? Have y'all learned that? Okay, so are we equipped to move forward? Are we equipped to move forward tomorrow when somebody says, yeah, we're going down to the protest, the Iran war? You and your Black self, you will be going down there with knowledge. You're not going to be going down there not knowing who you're protesting for. Are you really protesting for someone oppressed? If I've convinced you that you have to question whether or not you really appropriate protesting someone oppressed, a group of oppressed people, I've done my job. Okay, now let's break this down. Yeah, that's right. We are resting. Now, again, let's deal with the argument that Black people keep bringing up to defend Iran, and that's the 1979 hostage crisis. Now, during this crisis, Iranian militants, they seized the U.S. embassy in Tehran, and they held 66 Americans hostage. Now, you're supposed to leave the damn embassy alone, okay? And where were the Marine security guards? You're not supposed to let them take the embassy. That is American property. Nevertheless, they seized the embassy. They got 66 American hostages. And after the takeover, they let 13 hostages go. And that included the several Black Americans and some women. Now, the Iranian leadership said they released the Black people, okay, because Black people have suffered discrimination in the United States. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. You saying you releasing the Black people because Black people suffered discrimination in the United States. Okay. I'm gonna roll with that. Now, people hear that story and they immediately jump to the conclusion that this proves Iran is somehow pro-Black and not racist. That's what they concluded. You look on the internet, look at all these people in the YouTube videos and the TikTok videos. Iran released the Black people in the hostage crisis. So that proves that they're not racist. That's what it proves. That's what they're saying. But see, here's the thing. See, that conclusion collapses the moment you apply basic logic. Releasing a handful of Black people during a political crisis does not erase centuries upon centuries of African slavery and oppression in the region or the experiences of the Black people living in southern Iran today. What happened in 1979 was not some great humanitarian gesture. It was a strategic political move designed to shape global perception. Iran wanted the world to believe their fight was against the American government and not against oppressed people. You can see that exact same type of tactic in modern politics. Hell, in February, this is last month, Donald Trump issued pardons for several NFL players who had committed some criminal records. Nate Newton, Jamal Lewis, and Travis Henry. They had been convicted in cases involving drug trafficking and some other crimes. Now, ask yourself a simple question. Does that suddenly prove Donald Trump isn't racist? Because he pardoned some Black people and let them out? I'm just saying. Is that prove he's not racist? For you all who say he is. The truth is, I don't know if Donald Trump is racist. I don't know or not. I don't know the man. I'm not in his head. Okay? But what I do know is that the racist thinks he's racist. Okay? And I'm not saying whatever your political bend is, you vote for him, don't vote for him. I'm just saying, vote your interests. Bottom line is, okay, the same people who swear up and down that Trump is racist don't suddenly change their mind just because he does something nice for Black people or pardon some Black athletes, do they? Why? Because everyone understands what it really is. It's a strategic political move rather than proof of racial goodwill. Governments and politicians do this all the time. They highlight these symbolic actions involving a small number of people to influence public opinion. So when people point to the 1979 hostage release of Black people and say this proves that Iran respects and loves Black people, they're falling for the same trick. It's a symbolic gesture in the middle of a geopolitical crisis, and that doesn't erase the larger historical record. It doesn't erase the existence of the oppressed Afro-Iranian communities descended from enslaved Africans, and it doesn't erase the reports of discrimination of those communities that they still talk about today. That hostage release was just propaganda. It was messaging. It's not about love. They don't love your Black behind. And once you understand that, the entire argument collapses. Now, let me say this. This whole broadcast is because I made a post on YouTube in my community tab. It was necessary to break up all this kumbaya y'all got going on. You understand? You got Black Americans trying to have some sort of relationship with these Iranian people. Look, man, I can see it forming in real time, and the emotional rush to defend Iran, to sympathize with them, to prove how compassionate and morally superior we are as Black people. And the truth is, a lot of that energy wasn't about justice or history. It was about something much simpler: the desire to be liked and loved and accepted by people who have never shown that same concern for you. I already knew what was coming. I understand that there's a virulent strain of anti-Black American sentiment running through the Black community right now, especially in the so-called conscious community / Black pro-Black side of the internet. I watched it grow for years. In real life, I knew the moment I posted anything about Iran and the United States military or the history of slavery in the Middle East, that a certain segment of Black people were going to lose their whole mind. And that's exactly what happened. This broadcast is simply my reply to that reaction. Here's what I'm saying, okay? And you can go over to my community tab right now. I posted some stuff about, my initial thoughts to Black people responding to Iran. And I pointed out the same region of people are now defending, have a documented history tied to enslavement and brutal treatment of Africans in slavery. And that history is easily verifiable. I also made it clear that as foundational Black Americans and descendants of enslaved people, my priority is supporting what I believe serves the interest and survival of my own community and the country my family fought for. And the broader point of those points was simple. History is inconvenient for people who would rather respond with emotion than facts. But the record of slavery in the Middle East and the realities of anti-Black attitudes in that region are well documented. Everything I stated in those community posts can be verified through historical sources, whether people like hearing it or not. And let me point out the fact that I didn't pull this idea out of thin ice. I cited Dr. John Henrik Clarke. This is one of the most respected historians in the Black diaspora and in the conscious community. And Dr. Clarke warned Black people decades ago with the simple, uncomfortable truth: you have no friends. And I anchor my argument in history and in the words of a scholar whose work helped educate generations of Black people, myself included. So when people get upset about what I said, what they really upset about is hearing the same truth Dr. Clarke was telling us a long time ago. You don't have any friends. Shout out to 100 Bar Wives. But I knew the response. I knew the response was coming before it hit the post, because I know how this enslaved N-word mentality of ours works. They were going to accuse me of being pro-war. You're going to accuse me of being pro-Trump. You're going to accuse me of being anti-this and anti-that. And whatever label they needed to use, they were going to throw it at me because they didn't want to deal with this history. They hate when I bring this up. Then y'all want to start talking about World War III. You want to talk about American imperialism, even though you benefit from American imperialism. All you rich black folks sitting out there looking at my broadcast right now, you're the richest group of Africans on the planet. You don't think you benefit from American imperialism? Why do you think all these black immigrants want to come up here and pretend like you and sit up under you and sit over here? Because you benefit from it. Get your head out the ground and recognize what side of the bread, what side of the butter, what side of the bread your butter is on. It is what it is, baby. You got Mercedes-Benz, that BMW, that Gucci purse, those nice shoes, that nice condo, that townhouse that you have, all because of American imperialism. Cut it out, man. Stop pretending with me. You want to take a hot shower tonight? You want to get on your $1,000 cell phone and be able to call cross country across the world? It's American imperialism. You want to get in your car tomorrow and be able to drive up and to and fro, paying $2, $3 of gas instead of $10, $15 a gallon? And I knew all that was coming because I've been watching the conversation for a long time. The moment I brought up the fact that the Arab slave trade, people rushed to say, but the Persians weren't Arabs, they were Persians. As if somehow that clears the record. That argument falls apart the second you understand how the slave trade actually worked. The Persians didn't need to be Arabs to be part of the system. They bought slaves from the Arabs. If you're buying human beings that were captured and transported through Arab slave trade, then you are part of the Arab slave trade, period. That's how commerce works. Just like when y'all go down to the China store, or go down to the Korean store, 3 chicken wing and a fried rice. Yeah, you're part of that trade. You're a purchaser. Yeah. Just you didn't have to bring the dope up here, but you purchased it, so you part of that life too. But see, history is quite inconvenient to people who would rather protect the fantasy than confront the facts. You understand? Let me say it like this. History is quite inconvenient to the uneducated and ignorant. And see, I'm trying to spread education to my people, and y'all still don't want to hear it. Not all of y'all, not everyone, because see some black folk in here with common sense who said, hold up, let me take all this in. Let me go see what Dennis Spurling got to say about this first. But see, family, there's an old saying, you can lead a mule to water, but you can't make them drink. Now, I want to clear something else up. I'm not saying black people are uneducated and ignorant as a whole. That's not what I'm saying. But when it comes to this deep desire to be liked and accepted by people outside our community, we can be extremely delusional. And that delusion shows up whenever we start ignoring the historical record just because we want someone to see us as their friend. And as an FBA man, descended from enslaved people, I'm 100% in support of the U.S. military's efforts in Iran. Now, for you black Americans who are whining and moaning and crying about what happens in Iran, and this is, this is an extreme Muslim regime being removed. And let me remind you that the Persians, which is the Iranian people, were before who they were before this Islamic takeover, right? They think you are slaves. Okay, you're not their friend. They're not your friend. Period. Stop being so soft-hearted and weak and politically naive. Save your tears for your own people. Save your tears for black people. Matter of fact, black people keep resting. That's what you do. Again, now I knew what was going to happen. I knew it. You see, I knew how y'all were going to respond. See, let me say this, man. Black people are confused because, we have these anti-American sentiments and they're warped. There's this warped sense of justice, okay? First of all, every nation took part in slavery, even African nation. Every nation has been anti-black, and we've learned anti-foundational black Americans at some point. You got Africans who tell you they don't like black Americans. I talk about it all the time. Now, again, as far as what's going on right now, I might not like or agree with the war, but I'm with the United States. This country is where my family bled. I say to anyone whose family has been here for centuries, if you support those countries, if you like those countries and you against the United States, go move over there and fight for them. And see, my support in America or for America is a simple reason. I live in America. America is my home country. If America benefits, is prosperous, then I'm prosperous and I benefit. I believe in taking care of home first. Let me say that again. I believe in taking care of home first. Let me say like this. If I see my cousin fighting in the street, you think I'm gonna support the person who he's fighting or who's fighting against him or her? No, I might not agree with why my cousin is fighting in the street, but I don't want to see nothing happen to my cousin. I want to see my cousin come home. We could talk about this when he get back to the house. You over there fighting some goddamn body over. God, what the hell is wrong with you? But I'm gonna make sure he get home first. I take care of home first. You understand me? And the only direction I move in is in my own interest. It is in my interest to make sure that any anti-Black racist regime on this planet is undermined or destroyed. You see how simple that is? I'm not pro anything. I'm pro me. And I want all the rest of you Black folks to be pro you too. Be pro, say, somebody type I'm pro me in the chat room. You got people on here saying I'm trying to bully Black people into being patriotic because I'm pointing out the racist history of Iran and the Middle East in general. And they say I'm trying to bully y'all into being patriotic. We don't have to agree with the president or the military. You understand? We don't have to agree, but we don't need to be anti-American. I'm not trying to bully Black people. I'm supporting my own interests, whatever that may be. Huh? These cultures don't even respect the contributions of the Black people in their own countries. I mean, they view Black people as beneath them. You understand me? And you got Black people who are so emotional about all this. I mean, you clearly don't understand the inner workings of how war works. I know exactly what Trump and them folk are doing. But in the meantime, we need to be getting our ducks in a row while they're doing whatever they're doing. We're not going to agree all the time. But we have to start seeing the world from outside of our own limited Black American perspective. Sometimes the enemy will work in your favor if you allow it. Wars have been fought forever, okay? But you have to pay attention so you can see the crack in the foundation and set up shop. If you listen to those war stories that your granddaddies and those folk and them old people and those history teachers taught you, you learn about war. Get out of your emotions. You see that if wars hadn't happened, if wars hadn't been fought, right? Some of y'all wouldn't be able to fill your gas tank up now. Okay, some of you all wouldn't be able to vote right now. Some of y'all would still be in slavery right now, still fighting for it. Some of us wouldn't have the prestige that we have now, living in the country we live in. I'm in the country now as a Black man on this planet where I can do practically whatever the hell I want to do. And that goes for the rest of y'all. That's not the same for all these Black people around the world. Most of us here in America, we're at the point where racism can't really shake us because we know these white folks so well. We know them like the back of our hand. There's nothing they can do with us. So you need to stop talking so much and watch and listen. Every situation has its good and its bad. It's had its pros and its cons. Your job is to remain at zero. And you're supposed to take advantage of the situation whichever way it go. Now look here. You got a group of irrational Black people who think that just because the Iranians didn't, enslave Black people in the United States between 1600 and 1865, Iran should get a pass. They literally say, well, they didn't enslave us black folks. That's what they're literally saying. I just went over 2.5, 3 hours almost of explaining to you how anti-black racism is pervasive in Iran, erasure of black culture, the African slave, descendants of African slaves living in poverty and oppression. I didn't do it, their own people did it. The Afro-Iranians did it. You see? You don't need to support no white supremacist racists nowhere on the planet. That's my response to that. And for you people who keep talking about warmongering, let me go ahead and hit this. Everybody keeps talking about how this fight with Iran is going to be World War II. Okay? They keep, World War III. They keep bringing up the fact that this fight with Iran is going to lead to World War III. And the draft is coming, right? As if that's automatic. Yes, selective service says it still exists, but the U.S. ended the draft in 1973 after Vietnam for a reason. Do you know that? Do you know we ended the draft in 1973 after Vietnam? Do you know what the reason is, family? You're going to learn something. I'm going to tell you something. I want you to be at ease. Now, the reason they ended it, well, first of all, the reason that they tell you it's going to be World War III and they're going to reinstitute the draft is because they want you to be afraid. By telling you it's going to be a draft, you say, oh, no, I don't want that war. And so that makes you automatically against the war. In other words, they're manipulating you and they're using your fears against you. Okay? And this is when people start saying, oh, the war is coming, World War III is coming, they're going to reinstitute the draft. They're trying to make you afraid of getting drafted and your children and your sons and husbands being sent off. And that automatically going to make you have a knee-jerk reaction to be afraid. And then you're going to push back against World War III or whatever it is that might cause them to lose their life after getting drafted. That's what they're doing. They're manipulating you. But let me go ahead and give y'all some good information. So they're not going to have a draft. Okay? And the reason they're not going to have a draft is because of something called fragging. It's very rarely talked about. It's whispered about. And what this was, where you had enlisted soldiers who attacked and killed their officers. They don't talk about it, but there was a famous case, Private Billy Dean Smith. Guess what? Black soldier, California. Guess how he did it? He didn't shoot him. He didn't stab him. You can trace that. He threw a grenade into his officer's barrack in Hanoi, in Vietnam on March 15, 1971. He unalived 2 white officers and injured others. And he was court-martialed at Fort Ord, California on November 14, 1972. And guess what do y'all think happened? What do you think? Was he found guilty or not guilty? Guilty or not guilty? He was found not guilty. Not guilty of murdering and attempted murder of 3 people. And the reason they couldn't do it because you can't trace a grenade. Okay? Now, he got arrested for resisting. He got charged with resisting arrest, but that was overturned. But this is one of the most famous fragging cases of the Vietnam era. And it showed how badly morale and discipline had deteriorated when the soldiers believed the leadership was reckless and the war was unjust, and they didn't want to be there. And see, that's not internet folklore. Those dates and names and defendants are real. That's a real location. That's a real verdict. And see, that ended fragging. You understand what I'm saying? That's why fragging ended. Now, y'all keep talking about World War III is inevitable. You talk about what's actually happened. Russia. They say we need to be afraid of Russia and China. Let me start with Russia. Do y'all know that Russia has been trying to fight a little tiny country called Ukraine since February 2024? It is now March 2026. You could have had a bachelor's degree by this time. You understand that? Russia still has not achieved this victory, okay, this fast victory that it claimed it was going to get in Ukraine. You understand? Even the current reporting shows Ukraine is still fighting. Russia is still demanding territory, and the war is still grinding because Russia's performance has failed. They can't get it up, apparently. Apparently, Russia is not able to perform like it should with Ukraine, and it's failing. Okay? You think these people are ready to jump into World War III? You must be skipping reality. What kind of, are you kidding? They've been fighting a little tiny country on its border. That's like fighting somebody in your backyard and you have all your stuff and you still can't win. You got all your backup, all your stuff. Do you think Russia is ready to fight a world war? I mean, let's just be logical here. Now, they might be able to shoot some missiles in the air, but that guarantees complete annihilation. They're not going to do that, would they? What's the point? Now, you all want to talk about China. China, big bad China. Now, China might be able to invade Taiwan, but China's dealing with some serious demographic pressure. That's a big word, demographic. Do you know that China's population has been declining for years? Beijing is openly planning for aging crisis. They got a bunch of old people over there. You know that China expects its population over 60 to be 400 million in less than 9 years. Let me run that back to you. We have a population of about 360 million people in the United States. China expects to have a population of 400 million over 60. So we're not talking about the billion Chinese. We're talking about the 400 million old people in China in less than in 9 years. And so the government is trying to figure out how we going to deal with this. The women aren't happy. They got falling birth rates and they got a bunch of old people. So they don't have enough young people to take care of the old people. And so the country is managing that kind of economic and social burden. They don't have any incentive to go to war with the United States. That's what we do over here. Are you kidding me? What's going to be the end game? You going to invade America? Getting through the military is the easy part. How do you think you're going to you got 400 million guns in the United States. We'll be passing them out to each other like Tic Tacs. You understand me? It's not going to happen. You understand? China and Russia, no, there's one superpower on this planet that is the United States of America. That's it. Period. I'm not worried about it. You should be, don't let these people fearmonger you into this stuff. Now, here's another thing I want to talk to y'all about. I want y'all to listen to me. Keep trying to defend these Arabs. You got people telling me that, are y'all bored? I don't want to bore y'all. Y'all learning something? I've been throwing some facts in here, but I've been throwing, I've been throwing some facts in there. I know y'all learning something. Y'all bored? I don't want y'all to be bored. I've been going off a little bit. Y'all hit the #1 button if you're enjoying this broadcast. This is Raw and Uncut Uncle D. Letting y'all have it. Got my little pink flower. Look, I got my little pink rose on my lapel. Yeah, man. But anyway, nobody showed these Arabs how to be slave traders. Somebody said they always try to blame the white man, right? Nobody showed them how to be. They thought it up on their own. Okay? They have their own set of atrocities towards black people. Okay? You got people mad at black men who want to join the military as if they're fools. Right? They keep saying the U.S. military is just a tool of the imperial conquest. They start talking about places like Libya and Somalia and Vietnam and Iran and Afghanistan, Iraq and Venezuela. Took their oil. They say we simply attacking weaker nations. There is no nation as strong as the United States. All the rest of the nations are weaker. They basically trying to say we should be anti-war. They bring up Muhammad Ali, who refused to draft during the Vietnam War. And what his stance proves that the black Americans should just reject the U.S. military. Why would we do that? Every country has a military. I mean, family, foundational black American people are descendants of enslaved people, and we still support the United States and the United States military the whole time. And I support what they're doing in Iran. And you're not gonna guilt trip me into not. Look, you can for y'all, you can love your country and you can be opposed to the war, or you can support the war effort, whatever. Okay, that's fine. But what you need to understand is don't make it seem like America is unique. Every great nation has been at war at some point in history and has had multiple wars, whether we talk about Rome, Persia, Timbuktu, Egypt, the Mongol Empire. Y'all know who the Mongol Empire was? You know who Genghis Khan was? You think his neighbors believed those powers? Do you think Genghis Khan was considered a stabilizing force in the community? He conquered everything. America is no better and no worse in this regard. Every great country has practiced war. Look, history is not a story of saints and villains. It's a story of power and survival and competition between states. When we talk about slavery, there's still countries today that predate the United States by centuries where slavery or slave-like systems persisted for longer than they did in the United States. That does not excuse Americans' history, but it does expose the hypocrisy of pretending that the only one civilization bears responsibility for that institution. And see, this entire argument assumes that if you recognize the history of slavery and anti-Black racism and all these other places before you decide to cast your lot with them and run out and support them, somehow you're defending Western colonialism. But that's not the point. History's complicated and it's uncomfortable. And there's no pure good and there's no pure evil. It's almost always gray. Now, I want to talk to y'all about something, man. Again, I said this earlier. It's a lot of anti-American rhetoric in the Black community. And I want to kind of talk about it as we wrap this thing up, because I'm almost finished. I ain't going to hold y'all all night. I know y'all have things to do, and I want y'all to do those things. But I think it's important that that we talk about this, okay? All right? It's important that we talk about this. Y'all willing to bear with me for about another 15 minutes? I know we're getting up to the 3 o'clock hour, but I want to make sure I get this whole thought out because it's important. And I want y'all to carry this with you for the rest of your life. We have a lot of, well, let me say it like this. Over the years, you got this strong anti-American rhetoric that has appeared in parts of the Black community, whether we're talking about religious and politics. You literally got politicians who've been elected to Senate who are anti-American. I'm talking about Black politicians. You got religious leaders. Let's go back to 2008. You guys remember Reverend Jeremiah Wright? He was a pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago, right? Former pastor Barack Obama, he gave a sermon criticizing the U.S. foreign policy and racism. And he said, "God damn America for killing innocent people." I mean, look, let me explain something to you. I don't want God to damn America. I live in America. I don't want the bridges to fall. I don't want the water to dry up. I don't want the electricity to go off. I mean, basic common sense, okay? Now, whatever you think, those comments were anti-American, and they sparked national debate about the role of religion and anger and politics in the Black community. Similarly, criticisms of American power has also appeared in speeches of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I love the minister. I love him. I learned so much from listening to the minister as a young man, as a child even. And he said this, he said, "America is not the greatest nation on earth. America is a wicked nation." That was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said that, okay? Early, even Malcolm X, he spoke sharply about racism and American power during the 1960s. One of his most famous lines captured his frustration with the nation's history. "We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. But we were here before Plymouth Rock." You understand what I'm saying? Black people were here before Plymouth Rock. We came with the first white people. We came before the white people got here. Okay? I'm just saying. We belong here. So these anti-American statements have stoked this cynicism that black people have. Now these messages resonate with many people. And I know right now y'all like, I can't believe Dennis has said something about Malcolm X and Louis Farrakhan. I love both of these beautiful, brilliant black men. But we still have to look at what they said. Let's not look at it with emotion. We can love them and still look at them and look at what they said and analyze it from a place of knowledge. Our circumstances have changed. This is not 1964. This is 2026. Okay, now the thing is, those messages from those men, they resonated because they reflected real anger about segregation and what we were dealing with at the time, discrimination, unequal treatment that black Americans experience in the United States, but religion in particular, because those are religious men. Religion is not the only place that needs to be dealt with, okay? And it's also not the only place that it showed up. All this anti-American sentiment, it shows up in the academic world and the universities. Many of the college campuses, students are taught versions of history and politics that focus heavily on America's failures while ignoring the broader global context. I tell you the truth about America, but I also support America. You have never heard me come on here and I don't sell soft stories. I don't sell lies. I tell you exactly what it is. We have been a racist country since our inception, and we racist now. You understand what I'm saying? And we're not gonna run away from that. But when it comes down to being anti-America means I wanted bad things to happen to it. Well, where you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? You gonna go to Africa? Africans don't want you. Gonna go to Jamaica? You gonna go to the Caribbean? You gonna go to Europe? They putting black people out of Europe right now. You gonna go to China? They don't like your black butt over there. Where are you black people gonna go? You anti-American black people. If America's so bad, where you gonna go? But the bottom line is, fam, we're always taught that the United States is the main villain in the world history. And this message is not only taught to black students, it's taught to everyone. The result is you got a generation of young people who learn to criticize America first, and sometimes without fully understanding how power works across the rest of the world. Some of this thinking grew out of the political climate of the 1960s and 70s. Pay attention. Wasn't like this in the 1940s and 50s. We were very patriotic then. What happened in the 60s and 70s? See, it was during that period that the United States experienced this massive social upheaval, the civil rights movement, the Vietnam era. You had people coming here from all over the world. You had these widespread protests. You had protests against racial injustice. And you had activists exploring these alternative political ideas, including socialism and communism, because they believed the American system had failed. For example, you had the scholar activist Angela Davis. She said she's openly a communist. Who was the communist at the time? Who was the main communist in the world in the 1960s? Who was the main communist? It was the USSR. Okay, that was our enemy. We were in the midst of a Cold War. And this woman is saying, I'm a communist. She said that in an interview in the 1970s. You had members of the Black Panthers, founded in 1966. They studied revolutionary writings from figures like Mao Zedong. And the Panthers even distributed copies of Mao's Little Red Book as part of their political organizing. And so these ideas of communism and whatever socialism spread through the universities and the political movements and the activist circles and the shaping a style of political thinking that portrayed the United States as a central source of injustice in the world. But where did it come from? It came from people who didn't like the United States in the first place. You got people who are already angry with the oppression that they're dealing with in the United States, now adopting the philosophy and way of government of America's worst enemy. What do you think is going to happen? Yes, they're going to be anti-American. But does that make sense for you as a foundational Black American in 2026 to be anti-American? Again, where are you going to go? Huh? Look, America's relationship with Black Americans has never been simple. In the 1940s and 50s, Black Americans expressed strong patriotism, but still fight. We still fought for equality. Over 1.2 million Black Americans served in World War II, fighting men and women. We served in the Korean War. And during that same time, the famous W.E.B campaign called for victory against fascism abroad and victory against racism right here in the United States. And this period proved that it was possible to love your country and still demand that it change. And see, another reality is the social conditions inside the Black community have always changed over time. Researchers have documented major shifts in family structures from examples. I mean, look, in 1965, 24% of the Black birth rates were outside of marriage. 1990 is 60%. Do we know the causes? Probably so. What do you think the causes are? What does socialism teach you? What does communism teach you? These are the people who are leaders. It basically tells you that the government is supposed to take care of you. Did a light bulb go off? So you got the enemy of your country teaching your leaders and your thought leaders that the government is supposed to take care of you beginning in the 1960s and 70s. So the people are learning that the government is supposed to take care of you, that the welfare system is supposed to take care of you. This is coming from your learned leaders. Now, before that, in the 1950s, we were self-sufficient people. We were married people. We did for ourselves. We took care of ourselves. We took care of our communities. But the minute the 1960s rolled around and we start picking up these notions of communism and socialism and whatever hell else, all of a sudden we start bringing in this victim mentality. I'm just saying, something to think about. I ain't want to get into this today, but I want you to think about it. What happened in the 1960s, between the 1950s and the 1960s that make us make that radical change? That we went from depending on ourselves to be dependent on the government that has been historically racist towards us. I would have to say it was the leadership at the time who began to bring on these communist views taught to them by the enemies of the United States and said, yeah, let the government take care of you. That's the government's job. That's why in Cuba, a doctor makes the same amount of money as a taxi driver. What's the incentive for me to do better? I'm just saying, family, I see it. It's right there. I actually have had conversations with people about that. Nobody seems to be able to break it down like that because y'all don't want, we love our leaders. We love our Angela Davises. We love our Malcolm X's. We love our Minister Louis Farrakhan's. We love our great leaders. We do. We love them. But at the time, who was influencing them? Where was that coming from? Even right now, some of y'all say, Uncle D is cooning. He's talking about Malcolm X. I'm telling you that in the 1950s and before that, we were self-sufficient people. That was our mindset. And our leaders were basically telling us to do for ourselves. Even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self, take care of yourself. All of a sudden in the 1960s and 70s, it was a different mindset. We went from the most married group of people to the most welfare dependent group of people in the Black community. That's what I want you to think about. And we became instantaneously unpatriotic. We were very patriotic in World War I, World War II, the Korean War. Somewhere between after that ended and now, we've become anti-American. Not all of us. I'm just saying it's there. And that's why folk respond to me the way I do when I say, hey, man, I love my country. Just like I love my house. I love my family. I love my career. It's mine. I'm supposed to support mine. You stupid if you root against your own self. You're going to be homeless. Just think about that. This is common sense, man. And when you start saying, well, America's wicked, name a country that's not. You think China and Russia, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, you don't think they are? You don't think Colombia? Brazil, you don't think so? You don't think Uganda? You don't think they eat? You don't think Nigeria? You don't think those countries are evil? I'm just saying. Now, again, I'm gonna tell you like this straight up. If you don't like America, you can leave. See, I look. That's a very simple position. I support the people and the country that align with my interests. That's where I'm at. And in this particular situation, my interests align with the United States of America because I live here. My family fought in every war this country has fought, both foreign and domestic. And that's just part of my history. I'm not ashamed of that. It's in my interest to make sure America stays strong. If you don't like America, you can bounce. And that's the reality of living in a free country. We support the United States military on this page. Over here on this side of YouTube, we support the United States military over here. And I'm going to keep doing that. Now, me saying you free to leave doesn't mean you can't criticize the government or question a war. That's not what I'm saying. People do that every day. That's one of the freedoms we have here. You can protest, you can speak your mind, you can argue about policy without being thrown in jail. But there's a difference between criticizing your country and constantly acting like the country is the worst place on earth. And more importantly, rooting against your country. Because you got people right now, oh my God, China's gonna get into it. You got people right now hoping that American soldiers get killed. I look at them all the night, and I hate to say it, but look, it's not just, and I don't want to throw this all on the immigrants, but I see an awful lot of immigrants, Black immigrants specifically, on the internet, hoping and rooting that America fails. You can go to Instagram right now. It's a famous one. And that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of these immigrants don't like America when they come over here. They get raised in households and they feel like America took something from them. Every time you talk to an immigrant, they're swept down. The only reason they came to our country is because America destabilized their country. Why would you come to the country that you claim attacked your country and destabilized? That is counterintuitive. Why would you come to a place of attack? That's crazy. Wouldn't you want to go somewhere else? You got all these immigrants out here committing these acts of terrorism and shooting up America. I'm glad we delineated. I'm going to talk about that sometime later this week. But the bottom line is foundational Black Americans. This is our country. We should not be rooting against our country. We can vote people out if we don't like their policies. But when the fight is on, you need to stay down with your home. See, the truth is, many of these people who spend all this time complaining about America, they're going to stay right here. They're going to continue living here. They're going to continue working here. They're going to continue benefiting from the opportunities that exist here, that our ancestors fought and died for and bled for. And there are countries in the world that let me tell you something. Let me say this. Come on in here. Let me say something. If you Black and you tired of America, let me tell you something. I know where you can go. It's a Black country right off the coast of Florida. It's all Black. It's a Black country right off the coast of Florida. It's in the Gulf of America. It's run totally different than the United States. And you're going to be surrounded by Black people every day. It's going to be you and them. You can go there right now. It's called Haiti. So if you really want to leave America, you can leave. You can go right now. You can take a plane right now. Okay? They got a barbecue waiting for you when you get there. Somebody type barbecue. They got a barbecue waiting for you right now when you get there. If you want to leave, go on down there. You can be in an all-Black country. Black. Now, they don't even think they had no light-skinned people down there. They're all Black. You can go on down there. But see, the truth is, all these people complain about America, they're never going to leave. Again, the United States isn't perfect. History proves that. But Black soldiers fought for America, and we were treated unfairly when we came home, whether we're talking about the Buffalo Soldiers to the Tuskegee Airmen. We know our country has flaws, and Black Americans still help build and defend it. And so when I say we support America, when I say I support the United States and the people who serve in the military, that's not about blindly supporting every president and every war. It's about respecting the sacrifice and recognizing that this is the country our people built and defended. You can debate policy, you can criticize leaders, you can argue about wars. That's your right. But let's keep the conversation grounded in facts instead of emotion. A lot of people in our country are caught up in politics in a way that doesn't always serve our interests. Some people act like one political party is completely good and the other is completely bad. And the truth is both the Democrats and the Republicans have problems. Sometimes the Democrats, they give you this watered down version of history. And then you got the Republicans who push ideas that try to minimize the harsh reality of the Black existence here in America, right? I mean, look at the fact that they're trying to remove Black history from school. But that's why I'm here. Y'all getting that black market, Black history, okay? Y'all get that under the table Black history over here. I'm giving it to you. But at bottom line, neither one of these political sides are perfect. And this is one of the reasons why the conscious community starts speaking up in the first place, because many people felt that the full history of the foundation of Black America was not being taught honestly in schools. But instead of thinking clearly about our own interests, many Black folk got stuck with the idea of choosing the lesser two evils. And the problem with that mindset is that it can keep people trapped in the same cycle of bad choices. Sometimes both sides are flawed, and pretending otherwise doesn't help anyone. My advice to any Black person is simple. Do what is in your own best interest. Vote your own interests. Live your own interests. Think for yourself instead of letting political groups decide what you should believe. Because, see, too often someone challenges the usual talking points, they get attacked instead of debated. For example, me. Somebody type me in the chat room. Why are you defending Trump? Why are you defending imperialism? You spreading ignorance. You see? They instead of getting angry because history is being discussed that makes you uncomfortable. See, that's what it is. History is inconvenient, especially for people who don't want to examine it closely. Y'all think the conversation is supposed to follow a certain script. I'm absolutely certain when y'all came in here tonight, y'all didn't know y'all was going to learn all this. It got uncomfortable for some people because y'all got your Iran flag. You went on Facebook, I support Iran. And your little Facebook comment, you got your little flag up. Now you got to take it down. Look, Black people have not always been united in every situation. Often, we had to come together just to survive. You see? I mean, the issues that we deal with today are less obvious than in the past, but they're still real. It's not like we're drinking out of separate water fountains, but we're still dealing with issues. But the bottom line is, family, there's nothing wrong with focusing on the interests of our own community. Okay? Now, what does that make? That makes sense for us to focus on our own stuff. Okay? I don't have a problem with that. I hope you don't either. Now, again, I hope you guys appreciate what we did. I hope you appreciate what I'm doing here. I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and read these super chats. We got a couple of people who contribute to the super chat. I'm going to play a little music in the background. And, well, no, I won't do that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read these Cash Apps. We got some people who contribute to the Cash App is running across the bottom of the screen there. Let me make sure I give a big shout out to everybody who contributed to the Cash App. Did y'all learn something tonight? Did you guys learn something tonight? Shout out to Made by Miko and Patricia Hightower. Thank you for the Cash App, and Angela Harris. Thank you so much. Did you all learn something tonight? We got 16 people who learned something. Big shout out to everybody who learned something tonight. Did you all learn about what the whole 1979 Iran hostage crisis was about? Did you learn something? David Johnson, the a-hole 9540, salute. Your mic is a little loudly distorted. Turn it down just a little. Okay, thank you, brother. But keep doing the Lord's work, and being liked by everyone is totally overrated and unrealistic. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. David Johnson said, Dennis is a smiley face, skeleton. I don't know what you said, brother. But anyway, ADAU, $19. Thank you for the super sticker. Also, Philip Anderson, keep up the good work, sir. I will. Penelope, hey, Dennis, are you doing Black Chippendales over here? Oh, girl, what are you talking about? Thanks for being the ultimate teacher. You rock. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh, that's when I was dancing a little bit. I'll be getting them shoulders moving. Yeah. Salute to you, D. This is the only channel I trust when it comes to learning history and the truth about other races and cultures. You always manage to teach me certain things that I never knew. Big shout out to Big J. Thank you so much. That is a huge compliment. Thank you so much, brother. That you know, all wisdom comes from God. And, you know, if the Lord has chosen me to give you all wisdom, man, that is a true blessing. I mean, you all don't know. That is a true blessing. All the wisdom comes from the Most High. So if you all are learning from me, and then I give all the praises to God. But it is truly an honor to be his vessel in this journey that we all, because, you know, as the Bible says, our people suffer from a lack of understanding, from ignorance. I believe Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was quoting the Elijah Muhammad on that. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Big J. I appreciate it. We got 18 super chats. Maybe we'll get to 20. Maybe 20 people will have learned something by the time I get to the bottom of this list of people. Israel is harming Ethiopian Jews in the world. Heidi Maximus, thank you for the $2.99. Appreciate you so much for that. Penelope, in my vast travel, I've always led with my Black American. Africans are treated this way all over the world. We are much more celebrated. My Persian friends think they are Black. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sister. That's good information. Also, KW5357. Thank you for the $20 super sticker. Also, CJ Marsh, my man. Thank you for the $1 super sticker. Well, let's see. We got Mark Freelances. He said, anybody still trying to fight on their behalf? I got 2 words. Haji Farouz. That's right. That's right. Y'all make sure you tell them. You know they celebrate blackface over there. You know they every New Year. Don't go to a New Year's party in Iran. They're gonna have a blackface. They're gonna put you in a red jumpsuit and paint your face black. Don't do it. Joe Martin in the building. Shout out to my man Joe Martin. I appreciate it. Yaya's Kids, best teacher on YouTube. Thank you so much for the $50 super sticker. Thank you so much, Yaya's Kids. Intricately Tangled. Thanks for your speech at the start of the podcast. Certain Black people, stop letting liberals put a battery in your back. We are resting. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And 100 Barb says, let's get it. Let's get it, man. That's right. We're going to get it. Who else we got? Man, can I share something with y'all? I want to share something. I went to the doctor yesterday. They make me go to the doctor every 3 months to check my blood pressure because I got all them Black man diseases. You know what I'm saying? I got that high blood pressure. And so my wife put me on a diet. And, you know, I like being robust and sturdy. I'm about 6'4", but I've lost about 7 pounds. I get these little meals and these little packages she makes for me. I eat pretty good. I got a little snack when I finish here. And so I went from 319 to 312 in about 6 weeks. And, you know, I do jujitsu every day, but I was very happy because, you know, I went to the doctor's office and my blood pressure was like 130/70. That's a young man's blood pressure. I ain't had blood pressure that low in years. You understand what I'm saying? And so I'm very happy about that. I wanted to share that with, because I remember about 6 weeks ago, I came on here and told y'all I was hungry. And I was. That was the first week of my new change diet, but it's helped tremendously. I find myself able to do a lot more jujitsu. Normally, we roll for about an hour, and I do about, we do 30 minutes of rolling afterwards in the second half of the class. And I'm able to I'm rolling like we do 5-minute rounds with about a 30-second break. So I'm able to do 4 or 5 rounds in a row, and don't get it wrong. I'm a big, strong, robust man. Okay. But it'd be nice to get slim again because I want to live and be healthy and live a long time. I want to be here. And I enjoy, spending time with you all. And I think it's a good example. So my goal is just to get down. It's a moderate. I'm just trying to get down to 250. Some of y'all like, to get down to 250. That's still big. You still big. Yeah, but 250 and 6'4" is kind of skinny looking. I remember I messed around and got down like 200, about 215, 20 pounds. About when I was in 40, I looked like a crackhead. I was so damn skinny. I don't want to get that skinny. I like to be big and powerful. I like to be a big, strong. I'm big, I'm a big man. I'm a big, strong man. If you ever see me in public, you be like, that's a big dude. And I am, so I don't want to get too small. I just want to be healthy. But I appreciate you all. I have a lot more energy, and anybody who's on that journey, just remember your children. You want to see your grandchildren. Hopefully God will bless me with some grandchildren. I don't know about these, but I need to find, that's what I need to do. I need to arrange some marriages for my sons. They don't have no game, neither one of them. None of them. They can fix things. They know how to drive. They got good grades. They ain't got no game. Okay. I'm gonna try to, maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll try to arrange a marriage. Hopefully somebody that cooks, so my wife don't have to cook for these dudes. Okay. Because they eat a lot. But they got jobs. We'll talk later. Ladies, if you got a daughter, fellas, if you got a daughter, maybe we can arrange, we can give you a couple of cows or something. They can go live with you. My sons can come over there. They can help fix things around your house. They're going to school now. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna get some arranged marriages by Uncle D. We're gonna get them together. But anyway, yeah. So shout out to me for working on my my health. God bless me. I'm getting old, man. I'm 51. I'll be 52 in April. So I'm slimming up, So if I keep on this pace by I think next March I'll be down to 250. I'm losing about, I think it's like what was it? Doggone it. It's like 1.5 pounds a week or something like that. Nice, slow, just cut back on the fat, no salt. So it's cool. You know what's killed more black people than lead? You know what's killed more black people than salt and sugar? And hypertension. Oh man, anyway, man, shout out to y'all shouldn't entertain this bullshit. Oh, excuse my lady. Y'all should not let me. I gotta cut it out. Let me get back. Let me get focused. Let me get back to focus. Anyway, oh man, shout out to my man 100 Barb Wire. Appreciate it. Let's get it. And then we got Jay Winrich says, can Americans liberate the U.S. from Trump regime? Man, just go vote. That's all you got to do, man. Trump is doing what Trump do, baby. My man, 100 Barbed Wire, Big Joe, good looking out, brother. Again, Alonzo Dunn, I'm late, but somebody learned something. Appreciate you. Good looking out, family. And also Michael Roberts, 5639. We appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Alonzo, I'm a veteran, 6'5", and weighs around 290. Before I advocate for anyone other than America, I will limp to the fight. FBA, we ain't scared and we ain't running. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for what you did. But anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for being with me today. And here's the thing. I want y'all to consider a few things. This conversation generally is about patriotism and self-reliance and how Black Americans should view our relationship with the United States. Okay, and that's not something that's new. Some of the most respected Black thinkers in American history spoke directly about the same issues, and they warned that Black people must understand both the dangers and the opportunities within the society that we live in. Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, Former slave himself, he criticized America fiercely when it practiced slavery, but he also made it clear that the ideals of the country were worth claiming and fighting for. Okay, in his famous speech in 1852, he said, "What to the slave is the 4th of July." And Douglass condemned Americans' hypocrisy, but also said something very important. I'm not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. Frederick Douglass, he said that in 1852. Now, Frederick, he never argued that Black Americans should abandon the country. He never said that. Instead, he believed that Black people should claim America's promises and force the nation to live up to them. Now, later you had Booker T. Washington. He took a similar view about self-reliance and building strength within the United States, speaking at the Atlanta Exposition in 1895. And Washington argued that progress would come through economic development, discipline, and unity. No race can prosper till it learns that there is as much dignity in tilling a field as in writing a poem. That was Booker T. Washington. And Washington believed that building institutions, businesses, and education within America was the path towards long-term strength. Yeah, institutions last, personalities don't, okay? So that's what we need to focus on, institutions, long-lasting institutions. W.E.B. Du Bois, he disagreed with Booker T. Washington on strategy. He warned that Black Americans must think clearly about power and global politics, and W.E.B. Du Bois studied how colonialism, empire, and race work across the world, and he famously wrote in 1903, "The problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line," in W.E.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Blackness. This is 1903, okay? He understood racism was not just an American problem, it was a global system, which meant Black people had to understand how power worked internationally. Keep in mind, in 1903, they still had slavery in Iran. I just want you to know, all you Black people are defending Iran, they didn't get rid of slavery in Iran until 1929. So I'm sure W.E.B. Du Bois and all these, they still got slavery over there. When you watch those old movies like Indiana Jones from back in the day, those are slaves they had, Black slaves. I just want you to keep that in mind as we depart. Now, finally, I mentioned Dr. John Henrik Clarke, and he actually taught at City College. You know that lady made that racist comment the other day, and she got caught on a Zoom call at City College professor. That's what Dr. John Henrik Clarke taught. I've actually been to City College in New York. But anyway, he was one of the leading African scholars. He's very blunt, you know, about international politics and the warnings. In world politics, you don't have permanent friends or permanent enemies. You only have permanent interests. Okay, that's Dr. John Henrik Clarke. He's one of our own. Now, he repeatedly warned Black audiences that nations act according to their own interests, not out of loyalty or sympathy for others. You hear me? And so let's take what these great Black thinkers had to say. Douglass, Washington, Du Bois, and Clarke. The common thing, they criticize injustice, but they also emphasize strength, self-reliance, clear thinking, and understanding power. And their message was not about blind loyalty or blind hatred towards America. It was about recognizing reality, building strength where you live, and understanding that politics and global affairs interests, not emotions, drive decisions. Now, what Uncle D is saying is that America is a machine. America is a corporation. America is a business, and you have to make America work for you. America is not going to work for you. You have to make it work for you through power, through influence, through money, through institution. Okay? Now, again, some harder questions. I got a hard question that I want to ask y'all. I want y'all to think about this. Many of y'all were shocked at the fact that the Black people, slaves in Iran. So why is it that Black people have been slaves all around the world? Have y'all ever asked that? Why is it that Black people have been slaves all around the world? How dumb are we as a race that we keep letting ourselves get put in bondage by every civilization around the world? I mean, can we have an honest conversation? Because we're going to have some honest conversations this week. And some might hurt some of y'all feelings. I might lose some fans. I was trying to wait till I got to 100,000 before I lost some of y'all. But we need to talk. We need to do some introspection. What that means is looking within ourselves. For those of you all who might be a little, not the swiftest kitties in the neighborhood. Why? Why do we allow everybody to enslave us? And see, until someone figures that out and answers that problem, it's not going to get solved. The entire planet has either profited, benefited, or celebrated or championed our enslavement, or they've been complicit with it. They conspired to it. Or they've been aware and ignored the enslavement of African and Black American people. Look, Black men and women don't have a single ally on the planet. Hell, we don't even have an allegiance amongst each other. And because of that, it's effortless for the entire world to ignore our plight and pain and trauma. But part of the reason is that we struggle is because we can't come together and respond to the crisis. Look at during the Rwandan genocide in 1994. You had hundreds of thousands of Black people killed while the people in the neighboring countries stood by and didn't do anything. Same thing's going on in South Sudan and Somalia and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan. When a disaster strikes in one country, you rarely see a strong, united response from the rest of the region. And the truth is simple: when only one country tries to deal with a regional crisis, it's not going to work. Because the real power comes from unity, and without it, outside powers step in and shape the outcome. This is the same pattern that existed during the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Saharan slave trade and the Indian Ocean slave trade. Outsiders. They didn't capture millions of Black people by themselves, did they? They relied on the local conflicts. They relied on the local rivalries. They relied on the people willing to trade others for weapons, goods, or advantages. Didn't they? That's not even your tribe member anyway. He Black as hell and you Black as hell. All y'all are different. It happens over here too, Black people. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Blood. I'm a Crip. I'm a Vice Lord. I'm them folks. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast. I'm from the North. I'm from the South. I'm a man. I'm a woman. I'm from Generation X. I'm from a baby boomer. I'm a millennial. Am I speaking truth? Now, I'm not excusing the outside powers who run the systems. But it does show that disunity makes easy for exploitation, doesn't it? See, people will treat you how you allow them to treat you, Black folks. If a group of people can't protect its own people and stand together in hard moments, others will take advantage of that. There's an old saying, see a fool bump his head. And you wonder why all of us got these knots on the front of our head. You see? I want you to think about that. Another problem we have is all this begging. All this begging. All this begging we do. When we talk about Africa, in many of these African countries, you got these large systems of organized charity. And when disasters hit, the support networks are often smaller or slower to respond. They depending on white folk to take care of them. We do the same thing over here. All this begging. This is the problem that we have. We need to depend on ourselves. See, leadership and culture go together. Leaders don't come out of nowhere. They come from the societies that raise them. If corruption and division and weak institutions exist in a society, those problems show up in the leadership. You can't blame Donald Trump for being a corrupt jerk. He look at where he came from. That's like us. Look at these African leaders. They are a reflection of the society that they come up out of. If you want to change the leadership, change the society. And changing requires more than blaming some outsider. It requires building stronger education systems, stronger institutions, stronger cooperation among the people who share your same future. That's why I do what I do. I give it to you raw. They can't fool you now. I bet won't none of y'all be out there protesting Iran. I bet y'all won't be like, hell no, let's go. You need to go help them people in southern Iran. That's what you need to do. That's what y'all gonna tell them. Y'all gonna tell them about, what about that blackface minstrel that y'all celebrate every New Year's? Look, these are some uncomfortable truths, but they matter. And if black people want real change, it starts with honesty about history, about unity during crisis, and willingness to build systems and protect and uplift our own communities. You're not gonna get it by running out trying to be liked. Shout out to KW. Now, Foundation of Black America, we still on the couch. We got our popcorn, we got our tea, we minding our business, we're resting. I'm not getting involved in other people's supremacy battles over power struggles. I'm not getting involved in that, and you shouldn't either. And let's be honest about something else. It seems like everyone throughout history had a piece of this slavery thing. And have you considered the possibility that maybe Iran is simply getting what it deserved because they participate? Have you thought about that? Huh? Have you thought that maybe this is karma? Huh? I mean, I just think about it. Bottom line is we can't keep allowing these dominant powers of the world to pull us into their conflicts over and over again, have us expending our emotional capital on their mess. Because see, our history shows what happens when we allow ourselves to be used as tools in other people's fight. Ladies, you listening to me? Did feminism do right by black people, black women? Did it help you? Nope. It helped that white woman. I'm just saying, I don't want to be messy. But anyway, see, what we're seeing right now is not an emotional panic, it's a kind of logical frenzy. As Black Americans, we naturally feel empathy when we see oppression or discrimination against other people because we know that pain ourselves. But we also have to separate the bathwater from the bathing. These people are not us, and if the roles were reversed, they wouldn't spit on us if we was on fire. And they certainly wouldn't extend the same grace we were trying to give them, and that matters. Our voice matters. We're in the most powerful country in the world, and we have a heavy, influential voice. Why should we lend that to other people? Again, let me hit you with something else. The truth is, to my Black American family, whether we like it or not, we benefit from the stability and strength of the United States because we live here. Even when we disagree with the leaders or the decisions they made. That does not, look, that don't mean we have blind loyalty to anybody. It simply means recognizing the reality that we live in. These nations that people are rushing to defend have never shown any deep love for Black Americans. I mean, they tolerate us. Thank you. Okay? But that's it. They listen to our music. They like our entertainers and our artists, but what else? Every group on earth looks out for their own interests first. The only time people suddenly act like the principle is wrong is when foundational Black Americans do it. And that double standard needs to end. And I'm doing my damnness to make it end. For too long, we've been sticking our noses into other people's business and other people's struggle and trying to save their group and defend their group just to prove how compassionate we are to the entire world. Maybe it's time we learn to put ourselves first for once. Not out of hate for anyone else's situation, but because we deserve to protect our own interests just like every other community does. God bless you all. This is Uncle D. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. And as I always say at this time, I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.